Yeah, I can hear it. Hello, we're live. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the SGDA process stream. This is going to be pretty much a stream of the team from the Student Game Developer Association working on our Game Jam game back UTD. Let me know if any of the audio needs to be adjusted. If you can hear me all right, just let me know in the chat, whatnot, and I'll adjust this there. So this first bit is really going to be us sort of showing, oh, hold on. So, okay, there we go. So this is going to really be showing, like, this is how, like, we as SGA would, like, start a game jam and sort of going through our brainstorming process, a bit about scoping, and then from there, it's just going to be us going into and probably prototyping some stuff. This is going to be pretty relaxed, and for probably, because this is going to go on for a little while, a good portion of this time, we'll probably just be working on stuff. We'll try to keep an eye on chat the best we can. For this first, like, 20, 30 minutes, we'll probably try to speak to y'all as much as we can, but pretty much, yeah, you can sort of just see as we work on our game. But first, I want to introduce all of ourselves. Hello, everyone. I'm Andrew Sylvester. I'm the Vice President of the SGDA. And Cameron, you want to introduce?
Yeah. Hey, everybody. I'm Cameron, President of SGDA.
Hey, what's up? I'm Henry. I'm the Tech Officer.
Hey, I'm Noah. I'm the Treasurer.
I'm Bill. I'm the Social Media Officer.
Awesome. Hello. Y'all in the chat? Shay Rex? Thanks, Rick. Alright. So. Game Jam. Ideas. Got a blank slate. Pretty much. It's pretty representative. Here's a blank slate right in front of us. We're opened up with a good old Google Drive. So this is a week-long game jam, so we have a little bit more time to like go into some of the pre-production stuff, talk about ideas, but we still want to be fairly quick with it. If you're doing like a 48-hour game jam, you probably want to keep this in within like an hour and really like get going. But yeah, so
but this isn't that. So
this isn't that. So yeah. Now the game jam officially started about like 10:30 this morning with the opening ceremony. So we have sort of been bouncing around some ideas, but we haven't really fully sat down and like discussed stuff. So we'll actually be going into that here today. But first thing I do want to talk about is a lot of game jams have a theme to follow, and you sort of have to restrict to that theme. This particular game jam is pretty open-ended, and we could really do whatever we want, which is cool because, well, you can do whatever you want, but sometimes it could be a little hard with like that. So many ideas. It's like, okay, well, where do we go from here? So if it is a pretty open-ended, I do recommend providing yourself maybe some constraints or whatnot. Since this game jam is more it's Halloween based, we're gonna try to keep our ideas that can somehow fit into the theme of like spooky or Halloween. So I do recommend do that. But if you already have an idea, feel free to do whatever you want. So just going into it as we brainstorm, that's sort of what we're going to go with. So theme, spooky, or just Halloween.
I think this needs to be a header, so we can better understand that that's the foremost the forefront of our thinking process.
Boom. Middle of the page as well.
Yes. No, because it's the center of our thoughts.
Now everyone knows. Okay. Yeah. From there, we just want to start like spitballing ideas. Maybe talk about some of the stuff we were already talking about. Do we want to go talk about like? Yeah, let's just sort of, I guess, talk about some ideas first, and then from there we can sort of see what's feasible, what can be done.
We were cooking on one, but I guess like we didn't discuss. Andrew, did you have any ideas that you wanted to kind of throw out there? Because it
like independent of what we already had.
Yeah.
shoot. Let's maybe talk a bit about like some of the stuff we're already.
All right.
I know. Like Henry, you sort of like started that. If you want to like.
All right. Well, I guess we can. Let's we'll break it down. So I pitched a few ideas, kind of off the dome. Because when we first got started, right, creative juices are immediately flowing. As I'm sure any game jam participant immediately can recognize, is like when the gunshot is heard, right, when the starting pistol goes off, and you're just ready to go. You got all these ideas, so it's important to get those all out on paper. And so like immediately I was like, yo, here's some ideas we got cooking. So I like to number it out, first one, arcade crane game. Boom. I like everyone likes the arcade. You go to the arcade. We go to UT Dallas. Nothing's better than our mascot, the crane. So it's really important to kind of like, I feel like that could really capture the essence, but it's not explicitly like Halloween style. Like you could, make it a spooky crane, but I don't know. The only real like scary aspect of that is like gambling addiction. So the second thing I was thinking of is like, boom, WarioWare kind of like styled game, if I can spell. Because like, micro game collections, pretty fun. And so like it could be like some rapid fire whatever. Like it's like, oh, like that could, because like honestly you could take some of these other ideas and kind of condense them down into like, oh, quickly grab the thing or quickly like mash A or whatever. And that could be like a little thing you could put it'd be a very easy thing to do for a game jam because the scale would be kind of small. Like it would be really easy to like scope up of just make a micro game, right? And then the larger scope of that is more micro games. So it's like really easy to have a minimum viable product, but also scale up. But also, like, I mean, it's not the best, It's kind of like I feel like there's not as much to it. So my third idea was like, okay, well, what if I just did like a 2D platformer, like entirely based around a grappling hook. I cannot spell today. So like, like that's kind of sick, right? It's everyone loves a good 2D platformer. It's like the go-to. And then, grappling hooks kind of like the best thing, right? Like there's like two things, jetpacks and grappling hooks. And like 2D platform with jetpack kind of already done. But with a grappling, like, I mean, yeah, it's been done, but has it been done like spooky? Yeah, like, ooh, it could be like a meat hook or something. Ooh, now it's spooky. Ooh. But then I was like, all right, well, what could be better than that? How can we make it like what is the real idea? And then it came to me like a divine kind of intervention. I was like, boom. Wii bowling, but it's unnerving. What makes it unnerving? That's the $1 million question. But it's I don't know, it's just there, right? Like let's just take a minute and like kind of like look at it. Yeah. So other than that, that's kind of like I had more to it, but I feel like these are really good kind of starting off points, kind of off the jump. But we had some other ideas kind of bouncing around, so if you guys have anything else to add to it, now would be kind of like, feel free to kind of, hop in and like throw something in that would be like any additional ideas you guys may have had,
So spitballing with some of the like Halloween stuff. That's the thing. You really can fit like, I mean, WarioWare isn't inherently spoopy, but you can always fit a lot of things into that theme. So, I always like the idea of like simple but sort of
a 2D platformer with a twist.
2D platform with a twist, with a grappling hook. Wow.
Grappling hook's a pretty big twist, you know?
That's a
Hey.
pretty fun twist. A Mario didn't have a grappling hook.
Twist around and whatnot.
That's true.
Oh, That Kid Gaming. When will this be posted on YouTube? I'll have not for sure. When exactly it'll get posted on the ATM. I know we'll probably also post this on the SGDA YouTube channel, probably tomorrow, if not the day after. So. Okay, sorry. These ideas. From there, we could like expand this and go different ways. Okay, so I know we sort of took to the Wii bowling, but on Nerve in our some of our
I just
chats
think that's
earlier.
really funny.
It's just it's out there, and like who's gonna be like, yeah, let's do a Wii, let's just do bowling. But there's like spooky things going on.
But there's just a presence to it
Something I was
seeping out of the screen.
something I was thinking we could do for that is one of the bowling balls you can use is just a fucking pumpkin.
That'd be
Yeah.
That'd be kind of yeah. All right.
Just weird
That would be spooky.
bowl balls. Yeah. Again, skull.
And one thing we got to remember, because this is a game jam, there's no bad ideas. It's all about just kind of throwing things
Yes.
out there. And if you need to
See
scale it
what's
down and
fixed.
later, like you can, but we just want to get it down so we can get those juices flowing.
We won't get into we'll get into the details of like what's feasible and whatnot like after this step. But right now we're just out there. So you have weird bowling balls. I know sort of brought up. I may have been Noah who brought up some of that stuff. But what if like have to there's a little more than just like bowling. So you have to bowl, but then you have to every single time you bowl, you have to find bowling balls around this like haunted bowling alley, and it's sort of like Slenderman. You got to get the bowling balls and then bowl, and it's like combining like this bowling mini game with like trying to get these bowling balls, and like maybe there's some sort of adversary or something. Just like there's a pressure and actual like spookiness.
Well, I feel like
to bowling.
there's two ideas baked in there.
that's
One
two-
is
that
one
is.
is the haunted bowling alley. That is its own kind of like.
Yeah. Beyond the bowling, is there like other jam ideas?
It's a walking simulator. But you're on ice skates.
Ooh, I
Skating
was thinking
simulator.
like an infinite runner, so an infinite walking simulator.
That would be scary. Oh, I do like that.
Cool. Like you're just walking forever?
It's a walking sim, and it keeps hinting at an existing plot, but it never actually gets to it. Like everything it says, like plot wise, like like What Remains of like Edith Finch or any of those, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like the lore kind of makes itself show up. What if
Everything
it's just
is unfinished
ominous
sentence.
saying, right? Like we just put in like 50 different ominous like sayings, and they just kind of show up, right? Like it is the narrative, but the narrative never starts.
The theme is about the futility of man, you know?
It is.
Really deep,
You keep
know?
pressing forward, trying to find that meaning, but there is no meaning. That's art. That's deep right there.
That is art.
And with this, like, I do just want to just sort of mention others is like Infinite Walking Simulator, or something like this. You could totally do that, and you could do some really cool stuff with it. And it would be like, and I know some of y'all may be programmers and be like, but that's really simple to implement. That's fine. It can be simple, like there isn't like networking or any of that complex stuff, but like you can do some really like just fun design and stuff with that. That makes a good game, even if it's just walking in a straight line. Or but if this narrative is good enough and it makes someone just if it makes them just keep walking, they want to find out more.
Yeah.
And we've done it well.
You would need to not tell them what it is, though. You
Yeah.
have to, like,
Yes.
lead them on before they even know about it.
If we do this, anyone watching right now, you're not allowed to tell this to anyone else.
Yeah, you can't ruin the surprise.
Yeah, no.
See, I think the real stretch goal there is we have to make some sort of like auto-generated.
Yeah, we would make
Messages
an
that pop
algorithm
up
to like
so that it can't
randomly
just
kind of
keep
create
going.
ominous sayings, which in itself could just be a fun project of like
Yeah.
procedurally generated ominous warnings.
I'm kind of wondering how the level design would work for something like that, though. Like, you might want some sort of like procedural,
Yeah.
level loading and
It's like the PT
stuff
hallway.
like that.
The long dark path with spooky words. Yeah. Maybe just like it like at some point you're walking through like the void and it's just darkness and suddenly things appear and they change, but then that's just random and suddenly now it's void but white.
What, like that episode of SpongeBob where they go to where
Yes.
it's trapped in the future? Just becomes that. And
That's
weird
pretty spooky.
geometric
That
shapes
is- that
fly
is
past
spooky.
I
Okay.
actually have not seen SpongeBob, so I have no idea what you're talking about.
All right,
Well,
so we have a new
Matt, we
opening on our
can't do
team.
it.
If anyone wants to.
I've also never seen Avatar, which Cameron's gotten on me
Okay,
about
now-
before.
SpongeBob is a little bit like more out there because I feel like that's more universal. But yeah, no, I get it. All right, what about a game? I don't know what the genre would be. Maybe it's like a puzzle game, or maybe it's a platformer. But the proportional size of your main character, like the scale, is controlled directly with a mouse wheel. So like you could just scroll down and make yourself very, very small, or scroll up and make yourself very, very big. I haven't thought about this more than 3 seconds, so I have no idea how this would like be utilized. But
So you're making Ant-Man the video game? Is that what you're saying?
yeah, but with your scroll wheel. I don't know. Something about the scroll wheel feels very like in tune with human. You know, like it's like, oh, I can like it's a finite. It's not like pushing the button and becoming Ant-Man small.
I guess that would be like a puzzle game, probably.
Yeah, I guess you can get underneath like something and then make yourself big
Yeah.
to push it upwards.
Yeah.
Or like
Yeah, sort of puzzle. Yeah.
and if your mass didn't change with it, then like you can make yourself small to like stop weighing things down or like crush things when you're big.
Yeah.
That one's a fun one. Like you sort of build that mechanic, set up a couple rules with it, and then just like from there build and see what.
Yeah, you
sort of
just kind of make some
fine.
levels that like kind of experiment with it.
Yeah.
So what would that be? Just WASD and then
Yeah, it'd be like
Maybe
I
some
don't know,
camera
like maybe
control
like a
with the
third
mouse
person
and-
or like a first person game. Yeah, so like a
Yeah.
standard first person control engine, and then you.
I think that would be hard.
Oh,
to
I
do
was
in
thinking,
first
like,
person.
A 2D game.
Oh, that could be easier
Or
in a 2D.
2D game.
Oh, actually, you know that. You're right. That might be better in a 2D game. Because then because I think first person would be it'd be trippy, right? Like
yeah,
it'd be like kind
really,
of
it's really hard to give like a sense of scale.
yeah.
Oh,
So like if you wanted
things
to just
weird.
have it be like the environment's getting really small and then really big, like that'd be neat. But like I don't think it would be work well as a puzzle game because you want to be able to understand the scale of your character and the proportion
Yeah,
to other
and
stuff.
relative.
So like third person or like 2D, I think would work pretty well.
No, I think I'm still feeling the bowling.
Okay, so what if for the bowling, another idea? Because I'm just full of these, dude.
Oh, man.
What if we used a strange control method? Like, what if you had to use an actual Wii mode, or like you had to use like an Xbox?
No one's
Kinect?
going to be able to play it.
Yeah, you know, it's an online only jam, so like, might be a little bit difficult. What if it's like, okay, wait, what if there was a strange like mechanic that was hidden, right? Like so like you'll see it in like some other horror games, right? Where it might like secretly use the mic or something, right? Like you know how like in
Yeah.
it was to a lesser extent in PT, it was like part of the Easter egg, but like in Phasmophobia, I think is the current popular horror game.
Yeah.
Like if you say the ghost's name, they get kind of mad about it, right? If you bring up like certain things, the ghost will react. So like maybe there's like, I don't know, like some sort of hidden mechanic of like if it senses you messed up a shot and said like a swear word or got angry at it, the ghost will mock you.
But do you know how to do?
Oh, I have no idea.
recognition?
I mean, we could like there may or may not be some sort of library out there, but I have no idea how to implement that with Unity.
Also-
I'm sure we could figure it out because like
Yeah.
we have like what 5 CS people in this group out of
Yeah.
5, so you know
I do
like
want to
that.
say, you mentioned Wiimotes earlier. Now I really want to bring a Wii remote to the next in-person game jam.
Yeah, like I'm dude, that'd be so
Huh.
sick. Just any sort of weird control method would be kind of wild.
Yeah.
Or like you could do mouse. I feel like the idea of like rolling the ball with a mouse, like doing some sort of weird pseudo motion, right? Might work to make the bowling part of it more like less accurate but more fun, you know?
Yeah.
Because like you can always have the standard like, oh, use the arrow keys to move left and right, and then you adjust your power meter and your like spin, right? But like, I don't know. There's something like there's something more comedic about having to flick your mouse in a certain way and then having the physics freak out because you did it wrong.
I think it'd be fun if you could have them like bowl anywhere in the room, not just like, in the
Yeah.
alley.
Yeah, you can walk
Oh.
around.
Yo,
And maybe
Hey,
you
so
have
that we
to.
don't have to set like a trigger, like are you standing next to the bowling alley? But also it would just be a lot of fun and we could do some weird physics things with it.
I like this. So one of the original things though is like with the well, I like the idea of going like you mentioned earlier. I don't know if we brought it up on stream. The idea of walking around in like the alley and like exploring and picking up the balls, right? Well, I think that idea is super dope and would be really fun. I think it might be a little bit too high scale potentially because like we'd have to model a whole bowling alley, which none of us are 3D modelers, so that kind of like that right.
Just have it
Just
floating in a
basic
void.
geometric shapes. That's all you need.
like the essence of a bowling alley. But
Yeah, no,
It
yeah.
invokes bowling alley. That's fine.
That's all we need.
but the idea of like originally, if we wanted to do like a simple like product, right, we could just have it locked in and focus more on the bowling itself and the weirdness kind of happening around you, but your perspective is locked, like more like Wii Bowling, where you are kind of like you're not in control of your camera, but there's like an environment around you, right?
Sure.
But I do like the idea of being able to do some weird physics shots from anywhere.
Yeah.
So maybe like there might be some sort of compromise there without having to make a whole bowling alley. Like maybe we add more like walkway, or like the you do have a way to move the character and then you can bowl, or maybe we just have not a lot of limitations on rules. So like, you know, like in Wii Bowling, right, if you throw the ball over into the other lane, it's like it's an out of bounds, whatever, right?
That?
You can. Oh dude, Kid Me was all about that. I would like throw the ball like 3 lanes over.
You could throw it behind you. I'd love
Yeah, I know you can throw it behind you.
Yeah, but like you can do some, like you could throw it out. It would just like basically count as like a gutter ball or whatever. It'd be like out of bounds. But if we didn't do limitations like that, which would be even easier to implement, right? It's just like check to see if the pins are knocked down at a certain point. Then maybe it's like you could throw it and bounce it off something like in the background. Like if you just threw it hard enough at like I don't know, the light or something, it would bounce off and like most likely miss, but potentially gain momentum and hit the pins or something crazy, right?
We could have pins hidden around the place.
I like
Bonus
that.
pins.
There's like just off in the corner. There's just like empty beer bottles like lined up, sort of like a bowling pin, and like if you notice that, you can hit it.
That'd be cool.
Could
we somehow set up like
on the ceiling and you have to somehow hit it?
Actually, so there's actually I don't know if you guys knew, in Wii Sports Resort in the 100 pin bowling mode, there's a secret pin, and if you hit it, it guarantees a strike and knocks down all 100. But it's like you have to like line it up and roll it like along the seam of the bumper or something.
I think I've seen that before.
Yeah, so like that kind of idea of like I like the idea of having some sort of secret pin, especially like with some of the ideas we were throwing around earlier around I don't want to get too much into that just yet, but like we're talking about the lore, so maybe that could be some way to help you on your quest if we go the story route with it.
Uh-huh. We think it would be feasible to set up some sort of point system. It might be hard. I
I mean,
don't
it's
know,
bowling,
like,
so yeah, there's going to be a scoring system.
yeah,
It's kinda
I mean, by like
necessary.
in such a way that like if you bounce off like trick shot, right? You bounce off something, bonus 10 points.
Oh,
So,
Oh,
Tony
yeah.
Hawk, like you.
yeah, exactly. Tony Hawk, but bowling.
Okay, that would be harder to implement. I like that idea, but
Like,
I'm curious about how much control you would be able to like you would have in order to actually be able to like realistically pull off any sort of trick.
Right. That's
And
where
I-
it's like one of those. This is why we can write these down, and once we get to it, we could say like having like bonus points to do certain things can be a if we have extra time.
I
Try
don't
to
know how you would be able to like hit the pins after doing a cool trick.
Yeah,
though.
I mean, outside of
I
like
think that's why
rolling
I'm
the ball
struggling with
really
that one.
slow or maybe like hitting the
Yeah.
bumper like 20 times, I don't know what kind of tricks you can do.
Yeah. Well, this is why we have the weird different bowling balls with different properties. Like maybe like one of them like bounces around,
Yeah, one
and
of
so
them
you
could be a rubber bowling ball.
you throw it and it bounces off like 5 different things because it's inherently bouncy.
Maybe like the bowling lane is like really long, and you can control the ball like after you throw it. Like you can put a spin on it
It's super
and
monkey
just like
ball.
continue to control it in some way.
You literally roll the ball and then it becomes super monkey ball, and that's just the game.
I guess it would probably be like Rock of Ages. I don't know if any of you have played that. It's an old
No,
kind of
No.
obscure game, I guess. All right, never mind. Forget it.
unfortunately.
No, if you
I
said
think
it's like
doing
Fortnite, I've
trick
been like,
shot
oh, I know
programming-
Fortnite.
Yeah, it's kind of like Fortnite when you really. think
Oh,
about
I
it.
know that game.
Whoa.
I like the idea. Someone just put in chat the glass bowling ball that you just throw it and it shatters.
Hey,
Yes.
hey, Wind Talker, you got me. He's got Rock of Ages. He knows.
So I guess we need to decide whether we're wanting to go for
I-
something more comedy based or something more like actually spooky.
So there was I don't know if we're able to like show it on stream, but like the game I put in chat earlier, I linked to earlier. I love the kind of vibe and like soundscape of that game, and like it because it's comedic through its
Yeah.
weirdness and its like kind of like unnervingness, right? I feel like if we would have to decide between I'm leaning more towards that. I really like that like idea of the comedy is inherently there because you are playing a weird shoddily put together bowling game in a very kind
Yeah.
of eerie environment. I feel like that's inherently comedic. But
ads. Oh boy, we're not sponsored. Don't look at that.
yeah, the what is it? That we could be a little bit more on the nose with our humor. Instead of it being more situational, it's like, like the comedy is the bowling balls, the comedy is the whatever, right?
Yeah. There's weird physics and like
But like, yeah, just the slurp, the weird little man's body, the void that you're walking around in.
yeah,
It's eerie.
that sort of thing.
Yeah. So like that kind of vibe is what at least what I had in mind when I was like I think you're bowling in a like maybe if we didn't go the whole bowling alley route, because I don't know, like it might still work for that, but like originally, right, if we didn't want to model a whole bowling alley and we just wanted to make like one lane and some side lanes to the side, kind of like the perspective in Wii Bowling, that gives you the essence of a bowling alley. Like we would just model those and then put like a really heavy fog of war. So like it like you don't know how infinite this bowling alley is.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
like you can't see the walls. All you know is you're here with a ghost and it's terrifying. And you just have to bowl the perfect frame or the ghost might do something, right? Like that I don't know, there's something comedic about trying to fight the controls to bowl well in a weird eerie void that is like making strange noises at you.
Yeah. I do still really like the weird bowling balls though. Wind Talker mentioned you get a gun at one point, and you can never actually use it. But what if the gun was just a bowling ball?
Ooh,
shoot
I
the
mean,
ball.
You could try to roll it like a bowling ball.
oh, you
Or
could just
you can shoot the ball to give it more momentum while it's rolling.
oh shit. Okay, that
Bonus
changes things.
points.
What if what if that was a mechanic of some sort? Is you can you roll the ball, but then you can like somehow interact with the ball. Like it wouldn't be like you're controlling it, but like the gun, like you shoot the ball and it propels it,
You
right?
could throw a ball at a ball.
Yeah, like that. Like you know how like you go to the bowling alley, right? And someone, maybe it's you, messes up and the ball gets stuck in the middle of the lane because you didn't give enough speed or whatever, and then someone has to come in and like bowl another ball to hit it or like walk out into the lane, right? What if we did something based on that of like you have to hit, like if you miss a ball, right? It doesn't actually complete the frame. Like you just have to throw another ball, and you might just be stuck like constantly throwing balls at your pile of ball that is built up in the middle of the lane. I don't know. I feel like the interacting with your ball while rolling it, like subverting the normal bowling
Yeah.
rules. I feel like there's something there. Like that has a little nugget there that could be like almost its own game.
Windtalker says, roll the ball, ghosts come after the ball. Use a ghost gun to shoot them away to stop them from interfering with the shot. I like the idea. I like the idea of maybe like the further you get into the game, like the harder it becomes to actually like knock down the pins. So like either like it's not necessarily about like either we could have it point based as we mentioned, or you could have it's trying to get to the end of the bowling game, but each time you knock down all the pins, it just like there's something more to that like distracts you. There's like ghosts in the way. There's just things, holes start appearing. And
Like,
You
I
can
stuff
have
think
like
like
that.
we
ceiling
mentioned-
tiles fall and cover the lane.
Yeah.
Oh,
Or
that'd be
like
I was thinking that
pins
earlier.
aren't always reset in a pyramid. The pins are like put up in weird shapes or something, and you have
maybe
to,
like the
adapt.
wood gets like a little bit like undone, like some of the boards come up, so now like
Yeah.
you have to avoid some of the like weird
Yeah.
change in geometry.
One of
The lane
pins is
itself
ha-
just
one,
go ahead.
one of the pins is haunted and you can never knock it down.
Otherwise it resets all the rest of them. Yeah.
Or
Uh,
like, so one of the ideas I threw out earlier was that you're like, the bowling alley is haunted, right? And you're trying to beat the like bowling champion who haunts the place. So like maybe, right, you're like having a bowl off, and as if you do better, the ghost starts like destroying the bowling alley, and all that stuff starts happening. Like if
Yeah.
you're doing good.
Okay.
Nicholas said
the-
the
what if
gun
the-
throwing idea is funny. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. I like that as well. What if the bowling alley just started getting like it got longer and it just started curving and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, it's like when you get to the end of the hallway and the hallway stretches out further.
Exactly.
Like, we could do, like that might be outside the scope, but that would be
Right,
really
right.
cool.
Somehow distort the camera so that it looks like it's curved, but it's not.
Oh. It's the MC Escher of bowling alleys.
Just every single time you try to bowl, so like there's like 10 stages, and just something new messes with you, and maybe like you try to bowl, and then as it's about to hit the bowling pins, they just float up, and they just stay in the air, and I got hit them out of the air. And you miss on that first one.
You have to somehow bounce the ball to hit them back
Yeah.
to the ground.
So
Each
we're
time
going more
it's
for
just-
like psychological horror, like
It-
bowling.
Sort
Not
of.
psychological. We're
Horror
straying
comedy.
away from the psychological horror.
It's more like fun horror. Like it's definitely like horror, those spooky things going on, but I think it's probably more like,
Horror
ah, you
comedy.
rascal, you moved the pins out of the way again. You ghost.
So
Yeah.
if we do that and cheat the player out of getting points for their shot, do we count that as an actual shot or give that back to him? Like how fair do
Well,
we?
in this instance, I think like
Right.
the game we're describing now is more based around making it to the end, which is
Yeah.
partially challenge, but also partially like kind of a puzzle game of
So
figuring
not
out like
necessarily having a. good
Yeah.
it wouldn't be so like it like
Yeah.
in our initial this is like a fork in the road. It's like we'd have
Right.
the play the bowling game and like beat the challenge, beat the high score, beat the ghost, right? But then there's the other route, which is like it's not about beating his high score, it's about like beating the ghost's strange challenge.
Right. You are trapped and you have to finish all all 10 rounds of bowling until you have to knock
many
all the
frames
pins
are in
down, and then
bowling?
you can get out.
It's 12 frames.
Is it 12? Okay, cool. It is however many we can get done in the game jam.
It's
Yeah.
actually 10 frames apparently.
Well, it's 10, but you can do 12 if you get a strike on number 10.
That's right.
So like you could get 12 strikes in one game of bowling, and that's the max.
Oh, you're talking about because you're counting because the 10th one you roll twice, so you're counting that as like 11, and then 12 would be if you get it.
Yeah, because you can technically get 12 strikes. So I mean, yes, it's 10 frames, but it can be 12.
Do we expect the player to get 12 strikes?
We could just make it so that they
If
can't
they're a
get strike at the
professional
end.
gamer, then yes.
I just think maybe this guy isn't the bowling champ. He's just slightly good. Maybe he thinks he's the
He's
champ, but he's
salty.
like he's not that good at bowling. Like that could be the
He's
thing.
salty that he lost.
Yeah.
And this is why he's hunting.
Okay, wait. Now this might be like going a little bit beyond scope, but what if, right? You can interfere with him bowling, and that's part of the challenge. Is you have to stop him from getting strikes.
How do you stop the ghost from getting strikes?
With the ghost gun that shoots the ball out of the way or something. I don't know.
Throw
Like,
a
would it-
ball
like,
into
well,
his
I'm
With
trying
your
to
own
think of, like,
bowling
how would
ball.
you do? Like, would you like? Because that in itself could be something to explore. Of like, okay, well, what in fiction messes with ghosts? You know, like, do you use like a crucifix and like throw that at the ball, or do you like say like a spell or something?
The Luigi's Mansion vacuum.
Yeah, do you get like a
Yeah.
proton pack and like blast his ghost ball? I don't know. Like, there's things you could do that are like almost like gags in themselves because of pop culture.
Mm-hmm.
Even though just having a Glock and shooting the ball is fun.
Or salt on the lane.
Knock down his pins for him.
You bump him. No, you just have to cough like really loudly as he does it. Like
That's it. You
does
just
it.
stand next to him and just cough.
Yeah, just
Oh, you know how in bowling it's like etiquette to not go when the person next to you is going?
yeah.
Just
Mhm.
infinitely stand there like you're going. So that it'd be rude of him to go and just
Or what-
stall him forever.
Or what you do is you go to the lane next to him and wait for him to bowl. Then you try to throw your ball into his lane to knock his ball out of the way. There
Actually,
you go.
Wind Talker's got another good idea. It's just
Oh,
all wrong monster trope. That's great. Oh, I love that. It's like you throw garlic at it. You hit it with like a wooden stake.
You bowl with a piece of garlic.
Well, okay, so I guess how prevalent do we want the ghost to be? Because I know earlier we were talking about like if we went the original route, right? The more
Mhm.
we'll now label it like psychological horror and I guess thriller horror, like comedic horror. So then if we went the psychological like eerie vibe, right? The ghost was
Yeah.
going to be present, but it's more like he's lore. He's there to set up the challenge of like the ghost is here. You gotta be here to beat the ghost. We know the ghost is there, but like he's not like interfering directly. And I feel like that's lighter on scope, right? It's a little bit easier to implement because we're just focusing on building the bowling.
That's more likely to be completed when you only have a single week.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If
and
we
no
wanted-
artists. So
and
Yeah.
no modelers and no artists. Like because like we can make the ghost more involved than that. The problem is we would have to account for that in scope. Like how much can we make the ghost involved, or do we want to make the ghost involved?
We could always
Without a
just
single
find-
one of us knowing how to do it.
we could find a T-pose model of Dracula or something. And no animations, he just floats around following you.
So we don't even really have like, especially depending on like, 'cause right now we sort of have a couple different forks, different objectives or ways we could build this game. But depending on that, you could have the ghost that's literally we don't even have to have a physical model there, and it's just there's a ghost haunting you, and maybe it's just voiceovers that appear with subtitles on the bottom here and there, or and special VFX or something that says like he's just or the ghost is it's a haunted bowling alley or area. Like the ghost just is like omnipresent around. I don't know.
He's just haunting at me menacingly. I think another way we could do the ghost is just like fixed events if we want to go towards the puzzle route.
Yeah,
Like once you
exactly.
hit a certain frame or whatever it's called, like the ghost does something.
Yeah,
But it's fixed. It's not like
right.
Yeah.
I tried to find vampire models that were like free and ready to use, but I think the real challenge is trying to find vampire models that are safe for work.
Oh.
Oh.
Well,
It's proving to be quite the challenge.
Interesting.
just models to the
Okay,
close
so
one.
don't look at the price tag. This one's safe for work, by the way. Don't look at the price tag. But just what do you guys think about this for our game?
Okay, we'll put it up on screen. Amazing.
Beautiful.
There's multiple angles. Feel free to.
I think that'll work.
Ah, perfect.
That'll do it.
Minus the price tag.
Yeah, don't look at the price.
Don't look at that.
Well,
got
actually, you know
big
what?
feet.
Actually, you know what? Let's examine. Why is this $189 off of sale?
I don't know.
Is that money just for the model itself? Like, is there nothing else that you get
I
with
think
it?
it's. I mean, I think it's fully rigged. Does it have animations?
It says model is completely ready for rigging, meaning it's not rigged.
Hmm.
Oh, but it comes in some other color schemes. I can get them in green.
Oh, you can get him shirtless.
No, now.
Oh, there's a
You can
naked
just get
one.
him with no clothes
Oh,
at all.
it's more than just shirtless.
It's
I have.
it's fine. He just has like the action figure bulge. There's nothing down
Yeah.
there, so it's
We-
safe.
There's
I
a
guess.
long fingernail version.
I have. I don't know, Humble Bundle like a couple like different like assets and stuff.
Yeah, I think I got the same pack you did. a while
Okay,
ago.
there's like an undead like soldier one.
I
here.
mean, like, if we just had like Joe normal guy and we just put like a fun like kind of like shader, like he's transparent and like
yeah,
floating and like
Right.
wavy, right? Like
Yeah.
that's enough to give the essence of a ghost.
and again, this is like assuming we want like an actual
Oh, what if he was just a
Ghost.
disembodied head?
head. Yeah. What if it's just a bowling ball with like with like a
With the
face,
Yeah.
Oh,
and it just
oh,
floats around?
Okay,
What if it's like
Alright.
the headless horseman, but instead of a
bowl-
pumpkin, it's a
oh.
bowling ball?
oh,
That might
like-
be a little bit too much for us, but
I mean, if we can find
that's a fun idea.
That
a
does
headless
have-
horseman, we could just replace
that
the
has
pumpkin with
that
a
has
bowling
legs
ball.
though. I do like that. That
Well, he doesn't have legs, but
no, he doesn't have a head. He has legs.
oh, the head. That's what I meant. I meant by the bowling, the floating. It's just the bowling alley lich, or micro lich, or whatever they're called when they're just a head. Lord.
How hard would it be to find a horseless headsman?
The horseless head.
What is a horseless headsman?
Is that doable?
It's just a person without a horse. All right. We're about 45 minutes in. Again, if this was about a 48 hour jam, we'd probably going a little quicker. But right now, we've sort of been just throwing out ideas. But sounds like we're stuck on on the bowling. So I think we could.
Yeah, I think we're definitely
really
going bowling.
Yeah.
We need to like
Um,
figure out what are the core features.
Yeah,
So,
we have three main objectives. We should probably pick one of these
Yeah,
and go towards that.
Exactly.
I really like
um,
the second one, the gimmick puzzle one.
Yeah. The horseless headsman work out at the library. yes, he does.
So yeah,
Uh,
we talked about multiple like kind of directions we can take this. Should we like what do we want to should we try and narrow that down now, or should we kind of try and narrow down other stuff like logistics or control method or art
I think
style?
we should narrow down the direction before we do the logistics.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with Bill. Exactly what we're trying to build first.
So I think, I mean, it might be good to even consider whether we want there to be real camera control, and like how big would this level be? So how many things can we put into it? Do we want it to just be focused on, a single lane, beating a high score, and like just getting through some of these gimmicks on each frame?
I do really like being able to walk around a small area and just pick up things you find and use those as bowling balls.
Are you willing to 3D model and texture everything?
Plus
Well,
We could just
plus
find as
everything
many
else.
things as we can
Yeah,
online.
that's the
is
thing. We don't have. So in this jam, we know we're allowed to use any asset we want.
Yeah.
There's a
Oh
lot.
yeah.
Of
Well, I
free
was
stuff.
skimming while we were talking. I didn't see anything like free aside from just a bowling pin model. Like it's gonna be.
Oh, sure. We'll find like
We could figure
Um,
something out for the bowling alley.
yeah, and they don't
Hmm.
doesn't all you can find things that work in it again as long as it like resembles to a degree.
Just find like a wood floor and toss some stuff on top of that.
I mean, like
Also-
one thing I didn't bring up, like I guess in the group chat was
Yep.
we could make it so it's more of a minimal art style, a more abstract picture like Super Hot, where everything's kind of one color except for
Yeah.
like the things you're interacting with. We could do that with the bowling alley, so it's instead of like more high detailed realistic like
Right.
ball return or whatever, right? It's like abstract rectangles kind of giving
Exactly.
the essence of a ball return, and then we don't even have to worry about texturing it. It could all be like kind of just like kind of weird
Red.
in shadow, like cool shading kind of stuff, right? So then we don't necessarily need to worry about that. Like it could just be basically a white box with some functionality, you know?
Yeah, no, I like that. And even when the geometry is basic like that, that's enough that like I could 3D model that in Blender, and I barely know how to use that. Or even like we can just use Pro Builder and Unity in certain things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
I guess if we can't find like anything to use as environment, we should go for that.
Because like if like that's what one of the things I originally had in mind of like if we wanted to do just the singular like lane or like multiple lanes next to each other kind of like vibe is if we couldn't find models or textures or whatever, using a more eerie minimalist art style and then shading it kind of like in darkness, like kind of giving it a very strong color palette
Cameron,
and
you know
aesthetic stuff.
shaders.
Yeah, no, you're the shader guy, right?
I do.
You can figure it out.
It'll be fine. But like that kind of it would give us a cool art style. Let us pick things that we know how to do, like pick a color. Like I think we can pick colors. But it can ease the strain on things we don't know how to do, like 3D modeling, or like I mean we know how to do it, but like things that we can't do efficiently.
Right.
Yeah. I think
So-
that might be the route to go.
I agree. So
We'd have to
Let's-
like think of ways to still give it a spooky atmosphere though, if we're changing the style, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
think,
like fog of war and like weird kind of like
I think lighting would be a
Yeah,
very
that's-
important part of it.
lighting,
yeah.
sound. Yep.
The soundscape I think would be really important. We could do like actually if we gave things light, like that's something you kind of see a little bit in Super Hot, but like giving certain things in the environment like light emission and stuff like to invoke what it's supposed to be. So like if we wanted to like put lights in the other like if we had like their lanes, right? And there's like pins in the other lanes. Like you could have lights kind of there. You could have like the eerie like flickering of a fluorescent light above you. Like there's no roof,
Yeah.
but like it's just kind of there. Like stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Where it gives the essence and the atmosphere and the color that we're looking for without having to model
Yeah,
anything.
the whole space is generally dark and there's lights in a couple spots.
Yeah.
occasionally some disco lights just kind of flicker on and then flicker off, and you're like, whoa, what was that?
Like, yeah, no,
Yeah.
there could be like a okay, so this kind of piggybacks off an additional idea that we were tossing around, but like we could have it so there's the bowling screens, right, where like you have like above you that would be could potentially display your score. What if, like, if we had time, this would be a big stretch goal. What if we had, you know, those really wild and creepy animations that would play like whenever you get a strike or a spare in bowling
Yeah.
alleys? What if we kind of made our own versions of those, but they're like intentionally weird and like
What
kind
if
of
that
eerie?
was the game? You just play the weird bowling animations and turn that
Oh,
into the game.
oh, oh, wait,
We
actually,
don't need to animate anything. We just have T-pose models moving around.
yeah. Oh, does anyone know that there's that one YouTuber that does that where it's just like weird T-pose, like, let me see if I can find it.
All right. Yeah, so I think right now, what we should do right now is, are y'all want who here wants to be more of a, like, you know, traditional bowling, getting the highest score game? Who wants it to be a little bit more of a puzzle, trying to get through each stage, so you can like roll the ball as many times as you want, but you're just trying to knock down all the pins. I guess technically we wrote that here, but that could be part of either one.
I prefer.
So
the second
Bill, I know
one.
you said this one,
Yeah.
right? Cool.
I think in terms, I'm leaning more towards the like the thriller horror could blend in with the getting best score, because I would like I think that would be the easiest to implement. Of like, you just basically make standard bowling rules, and the
Right.
horror doesn't come from bowling itself. Like, it could, like, through like weird things that happen, but generally the rule set stays the same, and it's less focused about like gimmick mini game challenges. Not to say that's like a problem or a bad thing, but like it would be far easier to write a simple rule set that we can reuse for every frame than trying to like create a bunch of different frames, which might complicate the development. Like, granted, we are all programmers, so it's not like the end of the world to make like some scripted events, right? Like, that might be kind of more in our wheelhouse. But I at least think the general priority of the game, the general like moment to moment gameplay should be like just trying to bowl under these strange circumstances with the strange controls. Because like, our physics are going to be weird, our controls are going to be weird, not because like, even if we don't intentionally make them, it's because it's going to be a rushed game jam product. So if we lean into
Yeah.
that, it might like make it seem more intentional. And so I feel like the challenge of trying to play normal bowling with the weird controls in the weird environment, like, as the default, would be fine. And that's not to say like we couldn't add in like additional challenge rounds. Like, maybe it's like, oh, if you're doing well, then one of the challenge rounds is thrown in, right? Or maybe it's like in the last couple frames, that's when he starts throwing the weird stuff at you, right? But I feel like having that be more of a stretch goal and having the standardized like basic game there first would be more realistic for us to accomplish.
I think I see that. Yeah. Andrew, what are you thinking, man?
Yeah, well, yeah, because like I do want to like talk about like minimum viable product, and right, and just getting yourself to main what Henry was saying in bowling, and then things occurring with it. Another big point, I guess, between these two is also like, because in bowling you get two shots per frame, right? And then it goes on. So in this method, do you get 2 shots per frame, like just traditional one bowling? Doing like, because part of this also score was the idea of like bouncing off things, Tony Hawk, whatnot, right?
Oh, okay, yeah, that was separate. Okay, gotcha.
So it's like, I guess there's getting the best score. Sort of swapping this out, you could say, or there's traditional bowling rules, which is sort of I think what you're talking. I don't know.
Yeah.
Traditional bowling rules, but with flair, right?
Yeah.
At that point, we're just making a bowling game, flair. This one, the best score would be like maybe bouncing off something. Maybe if you like get bowl with the skull, you get 5 bonus points and stuff like that. Or you have as many, like you can throw the ball as many times as you want, but there's only and you're just trying to knock down the pins, and once you get through all 10 frames, you beat the game. It's sort of how that. So I guess yeah. First, do we want a limit on how many times you can bowl, or do we want to try for something that is like you're bowling, but there's a lot more to it than that? And because you may have like cool things going on, but if you only have 2 shots and like you get to a later round and things are happening that block you and stuff like that, but you just throw it twice, right? And then that's that. It's over.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It could be difficult. If the difficulty is a concern, like we could come up with some sort of like way to play around that. Cause like maybe like one way you could have it is, or to account for difficulty, right, is having like allowing the player to more accurately control their shot. Maybe giving them like a guiding like throwing line that predicts like kind of like how the ball would move in a 3D space or whatever, right? So like allowing those kind of like accessibility things to kind of aid in the skill floor, then in that case you could have it so it's like the 2 balls wouldn't be as much of a difficulty like spike, or like a like beating the game wouldn't be as hard if you had kind of accessibility options. Maybe it's as simple as like we just offer bumpers, like something like that, right? But I do think it's an interesting point. Like we could go more outside the realm of traditional bowling, like maybe not, because like okay, how would it work then in the realm of the bowling idea if you were to go multiple times per, like what if like I mean like if so in the example of maybe the pins are floating midair, right, and you have to shoot them out of midair, how would we allow the player to like kind of know that they can break outside the normal rules of bowling for that? Because like one thing I guess that comes to mind is like, okay, maybe you can only roll 2 balls per frame, but then other items don't count. So like if you're rolling like a skull, maybe that doesn't count as much for your whole turn or something, right? So there might like that could, I don't know, be one way to go about it. But I'm not, I don't know, I'm not sure. There's a bunch of different ways you could take that.
Possibly going back to the weird bowling balls idea. What if there are like different bowling balls have different like rule sets? Like you could have a heavier ball that you throw closer to the ground, or like a lighter ball that can be thrown higher, or something like that.
The lighter ball, when you throw it, just flies in a straight line instead of even hitting the floor, maybe.
weightless ball. Yeah, like I like the idea of like wacky different balls.
So that could be
Yeah,
a different
I-
item. That could be like just something around the bowling alley that you
Yeah.
kind of like a javelin, and that doesn't kind of like.
I definitely do really want the wacky bowling balls.
Again, we need to just have a gun that you just throw. You don't shoot it.
You
throw
hold it like you're gonna shoot it, but when you try to, you don't.
Yeah, you hold like you squeeze the trigger and it just pulls up the bowling UI again.
So we all sort of want the weird bowling balls for the most part. I think to the degree weird physics is just going to come with it. And it sounds like moving around and just like in an environment, stage events and stuff. Just what we do. What is our main?
What do you think, Cameron?
Uh, I've mostly just been kind of listening, slowly trying to think of stuff. Ooh. Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of leaning towards like let's just make, you know, good bowling with as simple of mechanics as we can for now, and then maybe the best thing to do is just reevaluate midweek, like what new stuff we could add in reasonably um, before the deadline, and we can just focus on like, you know, more basic bowling.
I think, yeah, like if we built it with a like making a foundation in mind early week, right?
Mhm.
We just made
So
here's the bowling alley with the bowling, and then as a foundation we can jump off of that. We can go, okay, so aesthetically we can take it here, and gameplay wise we can take it here, and then like judging by how quickly we get that like foundation completed, we can know like, all right, like how much time do we have to add stuff, like what realistically can we add, and then whatever. So like if in that case, right, we would design the code and the mechanics with the potential for additional bowling balls in mind. Like, for example, like maybe it just pulls like one of the array, like there's an array of bowling balls, right? And it's only one item in the array right now, ball, but like potentially it would have the ability to easily slot in a new model and some new physics for a new bowling ball, but it would work like seamlessly with the existing code. Like we just make everything in mind for future expansion.
So okay, yeah, and I think we're starting to get into MVP, which is sort of it's good. But so thinking as we sort of build a more traditional bowling rules, not and from there make sure we have the ability to add in, and at the very least, I would want at least one or two weird bowling balls, right? Otherwise, we're just making a game.
This
I
is
think
an eerie bowling game.
an eerie bowl, right? Exactly. So if we could have something like that, and we could talk about different ideas, and then as many as we can get in, right? But like, something like that. Obviously, sounds like we want the ability to move around in some sort of haunted alley. And I'll go with a little bit more of this for now. But if we get partway through, we can like maybe adjust from there, like, and add more to it. But this is fair, and this is where we're getting to. All this stuff sounds really awesome. Like I had a lot of stuff in my head about like cool puzzles and whatnot. I really like this idea, puzzles and whatnot. But I can definitely see the over scoping, and this is where part of these jams is you do need to be like, okay, cool, this would be awesome, but you need to consider it probably is best to underscope, right? And I agree. Thanks, Henry, talking some sense into. I was definitely like, let's go.
Because yeah, don't get
Cool
me wrong.
puzzles and
I think the
events.
puzzle thing with like events would be so cool, and like specifically, I love the idea where you would walk around a whole environment in between frames to go find the items. Like that would be so wild. But all of those are just kind of like it's a little bit too much for what we have time for.
And so this is where we get into the real stuff, our minimal viable product. Talked about all of our ideas and whatnot, and we sort of concluded some basic stuff. And now, what is when by 11:59 Friday? What must we have to turn in? 1, ability to bowl.
What does that mean?
Bowl.
Let's break that down.
Let's break that down.
You can throw a ball and knock down pins.
Bowl ball.
And your score is recorded.
Yeah.
To a
Bowl.
UI or something. There's
Ball.
some sort of score maintaining mechanism.
Ball. Score is kept. Probably like bowling score style.
Yeah, like a standard emulation of like a bowling UI, and that could be either like implemented through a button press or is like a screen in the world, one of the two.
Yeah, I do like the idea that was like you actually have a world space canvas UI that is just a screen.
Yeah, we
up
just like
there.
we could throw like camera mentioned he had like a shader that's kind of similar. Like we could just throw some stuff on that to make it like it's an eerie old CRT kind of stuff, right?
The screen
Yeah.
can like glitch out periodically. Yeah. pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah. Cool VFX. So like that right there really is it. And then obviously you probably want
Atmosphere.
main menu
Yeah.
like flow like or game state flow, which is menu bowling win. There is no loss state, and this is just, or you just have highest score.
No, you lose and then you die.
That's it.
And then you die in real life.
I do think
Got him.
one thing that like I don't know how minimum viable product we want. But I was gonna say I think something of the atmosphere should be maintained, whether that's
Yes.
visual or audio.
Yeah, the environment.
The
I agree.
environment, like that should be like I think that's a core part of our game.
That is a
the
core. I
weird
agree.
kind of spookiness.
For a spooky atmosphere, agreed.
So I guess that would mean like with ball throws, we would have like, I guess we could like do like a soundscape of like maybe like everything has really harsh echoes or something. I'm not super experienced with doing sound in Unity, so I don't know how easy or hard that is to implement. But like maybe we just have it so like the ball will have noises when it hits things, and the pins make noises, stuff like that.
And I think for MVP, at least one.
Ghost.
We want to like ghost.
I don't know what you're going to say, but I think at least one ghost is pretty.
I was gonna say at least one wacky bowling ball. Just so then like
Yeah.
that's the okay. We at least can bowl with a pumpkin,
Yeah.
and it's more than just.
I
a-
think if so, just to pitch in, all right.
Yeah.
I think if we had to pick one to be the at least one, I think it would be more spooky if it was a skull for the
Yeah,
first one.
I think the skull would be.
Like
Because
a
you like
skull
you
with
reach like
flames.
one of
Yeah.
them random, right? You
Yeah.
you reach into the ball return and you pick it out and it's just a skull and you're just like, oh, cool. And like
Yeah.
if we had more balls, right, then the wackiness is more there because then it's like less like it's less like shocking. But I do like the like if we only have room for one, I like the idea of like kind of later in the game after someone's played like half of it, right? They've got halfway through their game, all of a sudden there's just a skull there. Like that adds to the atmosphere, I think.
Yeah, and at that point, like we're truly actually doing sort of spooky.
Yeah.
You
Cool.
can go ahead and add pumpkin on there, I think, but
Yeah, I don't think
I'm going to
adding
prioritize
new
skull.
balls would
Yeah,
be
yeah.
hard.
Again,
If-
MVP. So I think having a skull there probably would be the one. I agree.
I think if you just want the balls to come out of come with the rest of the bowling balls, it'd be just a matter of switching the model. But if we wanted to have them like in an environment you walk around, that's where it gets tricky.
Yeah, and I think we sort of want that. Also, it would be nice like if they had different like the skull like maybe bounced weird or something, right? Or
Different physics properties.
at the very least, maybe you throw it and it makes like a laughing sound or something.
It breaks apart in the jaws, now its own like hitbox kind of thing.
Yeah. So cool. Like if we can get this MVP like maybe early on in the week, then we could do some cool ball stuff. And then from there, okay, I think that should be our main focus is get this, then focus on adding more bowling balls, and then just spice up the environment as much
stuff maybe.
Yeah, and add obstacles and things. Cool. At this point, this is sort of our MVP. Check my. This is pretty underscoped, I think. Or it's not. It's scoped well. It's we want to make sure like this. I know we can do.
Yeah, because I think it's harder. One thing to consider, I think, for like everyone is like their teams are going to be different. You really have to take your team's skill set into account of like what you have experience doing, and so some of us have experience working like in game labs, so like they know like how to kind of scope these or work as a team, but some of us are less experienced with that, so like we have to take those into account. None of us are really artists, so that's like why we are scoping more based off of like technical, like very like gameplay oriented things. But if you have a art focused team, maybe your minimum viable product is more based off of the aesthetic and less so on like the win state and the like gameplay, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, speaking of, actually, do we want to like maybe briefly break down? I want to like who wants to work on what this MVP and just in general. Like one, we could like we're all programmers, so we all know we can code. Other strengths I know is like Cameron, VFX and shaders, awesome at that. I can do some design. I know Bill can do some design. Henry, know you got any other stuff you wanna? I know Henry, I've seen some cool like UI stuff you've done.
Yeah, like I don't know. This is where it gets kind of tricky because like I'm down to do the UI, like the scoring kind of stuff. I can take care of that. I mean it's like one of the things that I was like kind of hoping to do, but it's like I'm really not super like sold on. If anyone else wants to like also partake or take over, is like I wanted to do like some of this focus on the systematic programming of like the like scoring system for the like when a pin is knocked over or like how that would work out, right? But then like we would still need people to like there's still plenty of programming and other stuff like how we're going to control the player, how we're going to throw the ball, like stuff like that. So I don't know, I'm kind of cool with whatever. I can fill whatever role.
Cool. Yeah. Well, let's sort of write down what people want to like general work on. So Henry that assist the system. Systematic.
The pin and scoring system.
Yeah. Which plays in pretty well with the other thing that you mentioned with some of the UI.
The UI scoring.
I personally, I'm down to do whatever, but I wouldn't mind maybe focusing a little more on the audio time. I I want to maybe experiment with implementing WYs into Unity, and this could be a good opportunity to try that out. Does anyone have any problems with me focusing on audio implementation?
I'm fine with it.
No, go for it, man.
I kind of want to do like the environment layout and just level design.
Yeah.
Does
There's
that
also
mean
one-
like bringing in the models and
Yeah, like laying them out and stuff.
a little bit of set dressing?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
again,
and if we get to do like the puzzle stuff, I'd want to do that too.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is just a general breakdown. Like obviously, like some of us may help Bill with the set dressing. Once we get maybe have to help with the certain UI. Like obviously, nothing. It's just a general. Noah, Cameron.
I guess since no one else has really claimed it yet, I could try to work on like the player like control mechanics, like how you throw the ball and whatnot.
Oh, like programming a mouse swipe.
Yeah.
I can probably take VFX and shaders as established.
I think that's what we're all expecting from you.
Don't want to force you into a role.
Yeah,
You could say no. I've done enough of that. I want to do audio. Let us know. But I know you enjoy it. I think so.
I do, yes. Okay, so should Henry be doing all systems on his own though, or
Well, it's specifically the pin knocking down and scoring.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like systems is such
Okay.
a broad term. Like, I think
Yeah.
like obviously there's going to be a lot of stuff
gonna-
involved. Like we
Yeah.
would need a system for keeping track of what bowling balls are like being used, right?
Yeah,
we need
someone
a
needs to take the
system
overall
for
gameplay flow.
yeah.
so it
Yeah.
sounds like Noah's gonna be doing like the control of how a ball is held and released.
Yep.
But someone else
Yeah.
probably needs to focus on almost like an inventory of balls and tweaking physics.
Um,
I can take that maybe, unless you want to take it, Andrew.
Yeah. Ever. I would just assume like how like the ball actually like rolls and whatnot would probably be a little
Yeah,
bit.
I was
Go
was
with Noah.
prepared to just like use as dumb baked in physics as possible just to avoid like like we could
Yeah.
add like, you know, momentum in the z-axis or whatever, right? But like
Yeah.
generally I think is like now with the skull it would change, but if we used a like a
Yep.
sphere
Well, we
and
could
we
just
just had like a rigid
sphere
body on it,
collider on
you
the
know, yeah,
skull.
like a sphere collider, and now it rolls, right? So
Yep. As wacky as we can without it being frustrating, basically.
yeah,
Or we can just make it frustrating but give him bumpers.
yes.
Not if it clips through the ground.
How do we feel about giving the pins jiggle bones?
Very good.
If
Do
you
you know
want.
how to implement
that's
that?
that's a special level. You get the noodle pins.
I'm sure I could figure it out. Probably,
Hey.
maybe. I don't know.
Game
Sounds
Jam
about
is the
right.
time to figure stuff like that out.
I mean,
That
like, how
could
many
maybe be
bones
done with a
realistically
shader,
would you need a
though.
pin? Like two,
two,
three?
two, right? Yeah.
50.
I would think it would have one bone, wouldn't it?
No,
Why
it's a
does
jiggle
pin have
bone.
buns?
I would.
Just two that goes. Just
A pin normally would have. Actually, well, yeah, one bone. I was
Well,
about to
wait,
say
I think
zero,
it could
but-
be done with a shader because you can just do vertex offset. We can write a script that detects when a ball hits a pin. And then if they've collided, the pin will start to like play a little shader animation that jiggles the vertices around.
I see.
Well, okay, wait. I'd like that, but what if we just had that like on most of the like the interactable objects? It's just like they're kind of like subtly like if we went for the minimal aesthetic, right? It's just everything's kind of subtly wobbling. Like the vertexes are getting a little bit offset, like slow enough that you wouldn't like really notice it, but it's like
Yeah.
it's off-putting. It shouldn't be like that. I don't know, just an idea.
Maybe.
Cool. So I think we have. Yeah. So looking at MVP, ability to bowl, throw the ball will be, ends will be Henry. Scores kept will be Henry. Or game state flow will be. That's a combination, which probably primarily with Henry. Spooky atmosphere is going to be probably a combination of Bill, I with audio, and camera with VFX one. Environment, Bill, although some of the stuff again with Cameron. Wacky bowling ball, only Noah. So for MVP there. I don't know. Like I could do a lot with audio, but like if there's more, I could definitely help.
I think we could split up core game state a little more and divvy that out.
Sure.
Yeah, like
There'd be like switching frames, picking up balls, and just like the end game condition.
yeah.
I do want to now like maybe take this and like break it down, like actually like how does each thing actually function? Like throw a ball is pretty general. It's like how is that going to actually play out? And part of that is game state flow. Do we want to start with the game state flow then? Maybe.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
we kind of break that down because like if we walk through the steps of each like bowling frame, maybe we can kind of get an idea of like how things will operate in the game space. Because like one thing that immediately comes to my mind is like how at a bowling alley, is it tracked? Like how do they know what pins have been knocked over? How do they know when to reset? Like is it tracking like upon the ball? Like basically does it track if a ball's hit a pin and then wait X number of seconds, or like what is the conditions that they follow in those, and how can we like imitate those?
Yeah. Okay. Right. So let's go through step by step. Like flow of the game, main menu. It just starts up and it probably just has a play game and quit. Probably a credits, because if we're using any assets, that just needs to be a part of it.
Yeah, and we're gonna be using a lot of assets.
We might want a little settings thing for sound adjustments
Oh, yep.
if we have music or sound
Good
effects.
idea.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say start.
And depending on how the controls are, maybe like a rebinding or a mouse sensitivity.
Okay, rebinding's really hard.
Is it?
It can be. Depends on what sort of input system you're using. But
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
but yeah. So say start, credit, and exit is like minimal viable, but beyond that is going to be settings. I'll put a star next to like
Optional.
optional. Yeah. So, and then
Enter the game.
game.
There you pick up a ball and throw it.
So, I mean, yeah, pick up ball.
Would you turn
Roll?
to look at the ball, or does it like auto pick up?
So yeah, so this is. I think we need to like actually like really break down like how you do that. I just going through the flow real quick, but yeah, that is a good question. Actually, let's just do that now, shall we? Are we still like having you can walk around, right? The area.
If Bill's doing that, then sure. If he's designing the level, I'm fine with that.
I feel like we don't need very much. We could set up like the main lane and then like two adjacent lanes just to be decorative, and then have like a little space behind the lane with like some benches and the ball return thing, and then that's like minimum viable, I think.
So
well, if you have the ability to like move the camera and like do a 360, then you might want
Yeah, the question is,
like way more.
do you just have
Yeah.
the option to bowl, or can you look around and move?
I feel like because like the benefit, if we go pros and cons, right?
Mhm.
I mean, I was going to say the benefit. I think so. Originally, I was like, okay, well, if you have control, it might be more immersive. But I actually think it might be the opposite. I think the fun factor is greater if you can walk around. That's inherently more fun. It's more like dumb stuff you can do, right?
Yeah.
but I think if we're going for ease of implementation, but also potentially immersion, not having the player in total like control might play more into one. We wouldn't have to, but additionally, it locks the perspective in, and that lack of control would play into the eerie horror element of it, because like they can't take you can't break the spook and scare, right, by like flicking your mouse around and like, I don't know, looking at our bad modeling.
I mean, if it's just fog of war.
Right.
Well, it depends on how
So-
tight it is, because like keep in mind, like fog of war, right? Like I like in general, usually it's implemented as a circle around like a certain place, but in the bowling alley, right? If it's going to go all the way down to the end of the alley, or what is it called, the lane, all the way down the lane, we couldn't necessarily do like a circle around the player, because then you would see the lane distance backwards. So it would have to either be like a square shape, or the circle would have to be based around the center of the lane. So we'd have to consider that. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying like something additionally to consider.
As a weird side note, I just realized a bowling alley is filled with many lanes, and that's very strange. That's all.
Yo.
Why is an alley full of lanes?
That do be strange.
Got a couple shout outs in chat. One from Colin, another from Sheridan. Also, Windtaker saying, keep this in mind, Noah, but as we progressively go through the game, just desync the player's controls just a little bit more each time.
Oh God, all right.
No.
I feel like I don't know about that one, Chief. I feel like that just would make the game frustrating. I don't know if that would be like a fun mechanic.
I mean, that there was an idea that we pitched around earlier of the, like in horror games, right? There's sometimes a fear meter that impairs your character's ability to do things. So maybe if you have some sort of either hidden or not hidden like meter or counter that would like impact, like maybe your hands are a little bit more shaky when you try and roll the ball,
But
or
how
something
would
like
meter
that.
Go up. It's a
It might require a ghost, and I don't know how ghost we are implementing. So
Right.
Maybe
that
it
would
just
not be a
ghost is
minimum
a little
viable.
out of scope.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I feel like the ghost can be there in spirit.
Hey, I see what you did.
Now hear me out here.
Uh-huh.
Just go full cosmic horror, and we have an insanity meter. And the more you learn about the truth of the
Ah. Maybe the more you go insane, it like obscures the power meter.
How
you can-
hard is it to do the visual effect where the walls fall away and you're in a void?
things just start
Like a
falling in.
dissolve shader?
No, not dissolve, like the plane, or like they're like unhinged and they're pulled in like the X and Y direction. You know, like a
Well, you
Not
can
too-
just vertex offset the entire wall. in
oh,
the
you can do
shader.
that with a shader?
Yes.
Oh.
You can
Okay,
or we
so
can just literally
yeah.
program that, or
So
animate that.
if we, because like if that's not super hard, how
Yeah.
wild would it be if like part of the insanity haunting, whatever you want to call it, like the bowling alley starts to break away at a certain point in the final frames,
Yeah.
and you're just bowling on a single lane in a void,
void. Yeah.
and
no,
like, I
that.
don't know, there's like an eerie droning noise that gets louder and louder.
So yeah, and I sort of, I also think, well, that would actually play into both controls. I do like the idea, of sort of goes more and more. At the very least, I think that should be something we aim for. Is things get progressively just more like that as you go on through the
What if it's like
bowling.
relatively normal bowling until you use the skull, and then all the walls fall away?
I like the idea of like, yeah, that or maybe it's in like it's a that could be in itself be scripted. Maybe it's not like like the presence of the skull, the things getting progressively more deteriorated and then eventually falling away, like that could be on a
Yeah.
scripted path of like that would be the actual story, quote unquote, of the game. The
Yeah.
plot is like as you play, just weird things happen until eventually everything's just chaotic, and you either win or you lose.
This is a big stretch goal, but maybe it starts off as like a full bowling alley, and then slowly the lanes just start disappearing. Like the lanes in the distance start fading away until it's just
Yeah.
your lane.
Pop out of existence. They don't even fade.
No, it's like when you check your you know how like, so we talked about having the screen like a diegetic in-world screen showing your score instead of like a menu. So one way to do that, if we didn't have the player in control of the camera, one way is to just have it in their view at all times, but the other way is to like where you would like maybe press tab to pull up the score, right? You press tab and it like forces the camera to look at a set point, right? And what if we can use that, because like by playing with the idea, similar to how we're not making, like if we weren't making the whole bowling alley, we can use the fixed perspective to cut corners. What if when at some point, if the player looks at the score while things are out of frame and they look back, like subtle things would change, you know? Like maybe like now something's like slightly off, things are moved like, I don't know, like a foot to the right or something. But it happened by them doing a completely natural action that they've been doing for the whole game. Because it's like bowl and then you check the score and then you bowl and you check the score. And so by like you're not expecting that by like frame 7, you check the score and now something slightly different, but you can't tell what.
I like that.
Maybe it's like if you pick up the ball and then look at the score with the ball in your hand, then you look back to the ball and it's replaced with a skull.
I really want to like do all of these like just mess. I love these simple mess with the player stuff. Oh yeah.
And the whole time you're just bowling, and I think that's what makes it even funnier. Is
you're
just playing
it's
Wii
literally
bowling.
just a bowling game.
Yeah, it's literally just a Wii bowling clone.
Stuff is
but
happening.
Just things are just
Probably
going off. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
That's good. This is good. I like this.
Oh, keep this in mind. Stretch goal here. Windtaker says, "What if you have a hidden ending, like maybe without using the skull or only using skull or something like that?" And then, but
is the skull an option? Or
it depends on how we implement it. I like the idea of things are like relatively like normal for like the first few frames, and then the skull happens, and then it's like, oh no.
Maybe like the ball return has multiple balls in it, and every time you get a strike, one of the balls gets replaced with a skull.
Could we sample the Wii bowling narrator and distort his voice? Like
yeah, that's it. That's the money. We're doing
so
that'd be so sick.
Should we have like a narrator that's like strike and whatnot, and then like as you get further in, it just becomes like strike, or it just becomes gibberish, like some cosmic.
It becomes like maybe it's digital distortion or like something.
Yeah. So it doesn't necessarily have to be or we could use that sound clip, but
we could sample it. We could just try and like have one of us like line read in a voice that sounds like similar, like basically just match the dictation.
Yeah.
But I like that idea of having a similar like cheery narrator that just distorts and like loses its mind.
Okay, so I think we've just sort of concluded it's a simple bowling game until it isn't, but you're still just bowling.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
So I think one of the big things this year is you can select from different balls, I think.
Which, yeah, I think so, especially if we implement more than, especially just the skull. And so,
so like
you pick up the,
like, because like in normal bowling, right? Like if you're at an alley, right? There might be other balls coming out of the same ball return that might belong to other people. So maybe it's like the skull or others could kind of show up as if someone else is bowling. Like it's like your normal balls show up, but now there's another ball there.
Yeah.
And like so by the end you have like your selection of 2 plus like maybe 3 or 4 additional balls that you could reuse because they'll come back. But like they're always there in the rotation. You can choose to use them or not, you know?
Cool. So we need a ball return system. where player can select an array of balls.
Mm-hmm.
This progressively grows with strange balls later in.
I could make shaders for the balls that like make them look like marbles or like weird glowing insides or something.
Yeah.
Like a magic orb or something.
A fushigi.
One of them could just be a void.
Ooh.
One of them could be an eyeball.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Where do you put your fingers in it?
don't
Okay, there is
ask.
one hole. You just yeah. We'll create a list of like
I don't think the
potential
player
balls.
be
will
like-
have fingers, so it doesn't matter.
That could be like one of the spooky things. Like you pick up a ball, and as you look at it, like a slit just like opens up and it blinks at you, and then like closes back up to like a normal ball.
What if I don't know if you'll ever see the player, but like what if we had the player's shape just be like a weird like all black version of like kind of the Mii's from Wii Bowling. Like it's kind of a weird like it's same shape. Maybe we don't animate them, but it's just kind of there. I don't know, to give the illusion of it. But I don't even know if we're ever going to show the player body, so it
We're
doesn't
never going
matter.
to show the player body.
I assume we're
The most
yeah,
we show
first-
is a hand, and aren't the
Yeah.
Mii hands just like balls? So like,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
could literally just
Yeah.
take the default sphere and texture it.
We could do that just to kind of make it look like it's Wii Bowling, or give the essence of it. Maybe the ghost is just a Mii.
Okay, so game starts. Should it start and they immediately just pick a ball? I don't know how you want to have that set up.
Would that
I assume
be
it's just-
also diegetic? Like, would the camera pan over to show, like, maybe you have like a button to look at the ball return, and it
Uh-huh.
like moves the camera over. Like, you have like basically two different types of like pans or like lock-ons of the camera, and it'd be
Yeah.
like one checks the score, one like looks over at the ball return.
Yeah.
And the main one is the lane.
Just a Wii
Yeah.
U. All right, yeah. So, and to ball return, score, and then the actual bowling, right? That's actually a good one. Who here wants to take on camera? I can do it. Y'all would like? Otherwise, or should that be a part of like y'all's systems, depending on because it's a little different, sort of
I
in
think
between,
camera
right?
would be a little. I think camera would be its own thing, like
Yeah.
switching between the views.
I've had a little bit of experience using Cinema Machine if y'all want me to do it, but otherwise, if someone else wants to work with the camera,
I think if you're experienced with it, that kind of makes sense.
I have no idea what Cinema Machine is, so I'm sure
Neither do
I'm
I,
sure
to
you
be
can
honest.
handle it.
Aren't we using
and
that
even
for
then,
Game Lab?
it's very small compared to a lot of people out there who cameras. Oh my gosh!
Do you not
But
just?
yeah,
I just assumed it was like you just point the camera, like you do some calculations to point it at a certain like point in 3D space, but I guess
Yeah,
it's
and,
much
like,
more calculated. Like,
I can do
Yeah.
that, but like with Cinema Machine, you can sort of set up it where it's smoother and
it has like more. Gotcha.
yeah,
Oh, can you do
So-
like depth of field and stuff? Can you do some like crazy stuff with the camera, or is it
quite
like?
possibly. Yeah,
Hmm.
we could even like do like screen shake or something. I haven't ever implemented screen shake in a game before. That could be dope.
That could add to the tension.
Oh, could we change the field of view dynamically?
Hmm.
Yeah,
And like,
probably screen shake,
Yeah.
field of view.
Maybe as the game goes on, the camera just gets slightly harsher at a Dutch angle.
Just tell. Yeah.
Maybe.
So-
You could do like
Yeah.
even image effects. Like, I guess that might be post processing, but like bloom or vignette.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be more post processing, but yeah. Cool. Okay, so player sort of like first person that shows the ball system. They grab the ball, then it pans back over to the to the bowling view. They can bowl. How are we setting up the throwing? Images. or
That
view?
I mean, part of that I was thinking we could test out through like
Yeah.
playtesting of like what would feel better, because like ideally, like I think it might be fun to have like the player like rolls it with the mouse in some
Yeah.
regard. But ultimately
agree.
that could be more difficult or harder to implement. I'm not entirely sure. So like depending on what is more fun and what is easier, maybe we have it like, oh, you just use the arrow keys to set the offset, and then you can set kind of the spin, and then you can use a power meter, you know, like that kind of stuff.
Right.
I'm just trying to make it like, I like leaning into one, the dumb physics, and two, making it less like it's a flash game. Because if you just input like, oh, you just move to the side, and then like it feels like you're just playing like Pop Tropica or something. So.
Sure. Yeah, that's a game jam for you. Yeah. So I guess sort of. No to mess with. So we'll say first try. Wow, what is typing? First try like a mouse control, sort of like Golf Fit or whatever, right? You throw the mouse sort of thing. Try mouse.
I mean, are we wanting it to be like all in sort of one motion of like you just kind of set the power and flick it, or do you want it to be like a sort of multi-stage, like aim, set power, set a curve, throw?
Well, like that would be like, I pictured that would be how you would do it if like the way Wii Bowling does it is you can set all of those things optionally. Like you can keep it all default because like some of it is set by the way you like move it with your.
Well, yeah, like in Wii Bowling, it's basically all set on how you move the controller. So
well, no, because you can also set your offset and your rotation.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so like there's other things to it. But like you can also do those in any order. It's not a fixed order. So like you have a button to toggle between rotation and offset. So like you can choose which ones you want to do, which I think is a better way to do it if we choose to do that route, is like kind of let the player set those if they want. But I do think quite possibly like one of the better ways to do it is to just like I don't know. I mean, there's a few ways you could do, but like I was thinking the easiest to implement potentially, I have no idea. And also most dumb fun, I should say, is to not lock in the player to how they throw it with the mouse. Like maybe it's like you're like one way of doing it with the mouse is you lock it to one axis, so it's like only the y-axis of your mouse is recorded, and that's what determines the power. But you could have it so there's no locking, and like you can control, maybe like you can go at like a slight angle if you throw it, like whip your mouse at the end. And like I said, that could either be harder or easier to implement depending on how Unity wants to cooperate.
Maybe it would be like you hold the mouse button down, and the length you hold it down for sets the power, and then you can kind of move it side to side to set a curve on it.
I mean, couldn't you just have it like picture? Okay, hypothetically, right? Like maybe we wouldn't do it exactly. You like tilt the camera down. I wanted to say pan. It's tilt. You tilt the camera down. It's facing like 90 degrees, like towards the floor. And then kind of almost like you're playing it on like a DS on the touch screen. You are like clicking and dragging the ball across the floor, like looking straight down. And like that would control kind of your lift off or whatever your speed. So like it would basically be the speed and power of the ball is determined by how fast you're moving your mouse, because it would just like you are controlling the acceleration, and thus the velocity is maintained of how fast you accelerated, right? And that might be why you would need like a mouse sensitivity slider or something. But that would be, I think we could avoid having to do acceleration and like velocity like mathematics ourselves, because Unity kind of already has that, right, with its like physics system. So as long as like we just lock it to maintain the speed of the mouse, maybe we could get away with not doing any math, and then it just kind of works. That's why I said it could potentially be the easiest. It could also potentially not work at all, and then we have to do even more math.
Right.
So, you know.
Yep.
I feel like that's dangerous, because then you could like throw you could like move your mouse like immediately to the other end of the alley and just fling the ball down with like light speed.
Oh, that'd be so sick. I mean, we could put like maybe like
Tech.
some sort of we could put like some sort of smoothing on it, like not on the mouse
Yeah.
because mouse smoothing is curved, but like on the ball itself. Like basically, you would have like maybe an indicator of where your cursor would be, like a dot or something. And the ball has some sort of smoothing on it that it is calculating a smooth point at like certain intervals between where your mouse cursor is. So if you flick it, there technically is a max cap to how fast your ball could go because it would smooth between those. Like if you hypothetically were able to move your mouse from the bottom of your mouse pad to the top of your mouse pad in one frame, it would like try and smooth that and have a cap. So you wouldn't be able to like light speed it. Maybe we have some sort of like window in there, like some sort of assist of like a minimum or a maximum speed. So it's not exactly like 1-to-1, but like at least as a starting point for minimum viable, it might be easier just to have it like 1-to-1. Also, I think throwing it at light speed would be really fun.
I think throwing at light speed would be really fun.
I'm kind of all for the ability to like launch it if you just like whip your mouse, because that adds some sort of like fun gameplay element that we don't have to like account for in the code. It's just kind of natural.
Maybe if you flick it hard enough, it flies to another lane.
I think that's what that would allow for the physics to shine, is if we like, because obviously in that case, right, there's difficulty because now you're actually kind of playing sort of bowling, right? Of if you go too far to the left or to the right, it's going to go off into the gutter or something. But if you go fast enough, it would like launch off of a prop and go into the void, which is funny. That is enjoyable. I enjoy that. So maybe we like, if we wanted to solve that problem, we could I think we could just put in like bumpers, and then just by putting in bumpers we would solve that problem.
No. I think it'd be fun to have the ability to just bounce it off the gutter. Ooh, for what we could have the pins show up in another lane, and you have to bounce it off the gutter.
Oh,
Yeah.
And then there's that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, another way. I as much as I love what we just discussed, another way that I thought of when we were discussing like more of the challenge kind of like scripted events, right? Like the floating pins, is like, what if it was more of a not traditional, but like, you know, when you're playing like a, I don't know, like a Unity game, picture like House Flipper or something, right? You're walking around in like a Unity game, and you have an item in your hands, and you would like hold to like however long you're holding it controls the power, right? But where you're aiming your like first person or something controls where it's going. Like we could theoretically, if we did the like walking around one, right, where it's not a fixed like position, that could be one way of doing it. We could also make it so it's like you're still in a fixed position, but like you can only look within a certain like angle.
That's kind of the way I'm picturing it, is like you're viewing it from first person, you can walk like side to side at least, and then the direction you face your character is the way it's going to go forward, and then you can like flick it to the side a little bit to set a curve, and you like hold it down to set the power.
I feel like the power thing, holding it down to set the power would be, it's very gamey. It'd be easy to like implement. It's not like, I feel like that would be fine. The problem is when you start implementing a curve, I feel like flicking to implement a curve would be difficult to do right. That's when it starts to be like, we couldn't just have it so you flick your mouse or like wild flicking your mouse if it's like a hold to charge, because the disconnect of a holding motion and then a release and then also moving, like that would require some serious game design and crafting, and like that, I feel like that alone is above my pay grade. I'm not good enough to do that, to make that feel good. So I don't know if that would be the solution. Like we could do, like, you move around, like your player model determines the rotation or whatever, right? And then you roll it, because like the challenge of like what we just discussed of the standard like hold to throw is like if you're trying to hit like a midair target, it works fine, right? You're lobbing the overhand. So like if you were hitting a floating pin per se, that would be fine. But we're trying to roll it, right? Like it's like that's the unless we don't want to prioritize that, like we just want you just throw it. But then it's kind of like you're just the kid at the bowling alley who like doesn't know how to bowl, so you just like lob it like a shock put, and then there's just a loud thud as it like hits the lane. Like,
I still remember one time my friend actually like threw the ball into the other person's lane.
oh no!
Oh,
Like
no.
unintentionally actually did that.
Nice.
And I feel like that would only really work if we were able to really capture the essence of what it sounds like when a ball hits a bowling lane like that. Because
I'm gonna spend this
it is
entire
terrifying.
week trying to figure that out. Just the
is.
thud.
We got to go to a bowling alley in the middle of the pandemic just to record that sound. Get JC on the line. We're going. But yeah, I think like if we did it that way, we would have to make it so the player's doing it underhanded and somehow communicate that to the player. Which, if like normally, when you do the throwing like overhand, it's meant to kind of imitate like a first-person shooter, where it's like almost shooting from the character's eyes. But in this case, we're shooting from the player's, like, if we did it like really quick and dirty, we'd basically be shooting from the player's feet, which I don't know how that translates well into like game feel. But you know,
$3, you'll make that sound.
if you actually do send me your PayPal, send you $2. That's a good price for that audio clip. I'm gonna make my text tone.
So you're just saying like when we let go, it just it goes off from their like just at the bottom from their feet.
I guess that would be the quick and dirty way. Like ideally,
Yeah.
want it to
Right.
do like a rolling
Oh.
motion around like where their arm hypothetically would be.
Mhm.
I mean,
But I don't know.
I wouldn't mind the arc at the start, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I feel like you want a little bit of an arc at the start.
Yeah, and then have the thud.
But do
and
we
then if
wanna
you
try
do
and-
mess it up?
Do we want to try and imitate the bowling step though? Because like you know, like part of bowling is getting that 1-2 and then you roll, right?
1, 2.
And like even Wii Bowling captures that because you have to kind of do that. Like you don't have to, but you have to account for that in real life. The
Yeah.
pacing of it. So
Maybe have it set up that just like if you're walking forwards when you release the ball, it like adds more momentum to it. Otherwise, you can just do it from a standstill.
if the player can move around just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, it's not a 48-hour jam. It's actually we have till Friday. But yeah, we'll probably take care of the sounds ourselves. So we have a week.
But also, please don't actually go risk your
please
life in a
do.
bowling
No,
alley
don't
for
listen
us.
to him. I actually will pay you. I'll send you $5. All right, so where were we in the game?
All right.
The game
So-
breakdown. We
right,
feel
so
like we
it-
got distracted.
Yeah, it
May
sounds
or may
like
not
we
have been my fault.
we're gonna have to just mess around with some stuff.
Yeah.
So we'll mess around with that the best we can. Okay, so we got pick up, select ball, throw ball, and the camera. But also with that, because after you throw the ball, you get like you go pick up another ball, right? So we need a score system. Which we have the screen UI. Play score.
So is the UI gonna dynamically reflect each pin state?
It can.
I
Are you
think that's
wanting-
a little much. I think just like numerical
Even
score.
normal bowling doesn't necessarily always have that.
Maybe actually,
sometimes
maybe
they
the
do.
easiest way to do
Yeah.
that is well. I mean, okay, it would. Like, how do you mean like when you start bowling the next like part of the frame, right? You go for the spare. It shows like the dots corresponding to which pins are like still up. Are you referring
Right.
to that?
Yeah, so you'd see like 10 little white dots
Yeah.
before you throw the ball at all. And then
Yeah.
if you've hit some
Yeah.
of them, but not all of them, like the
Yeah,
ones
no,
that
I
are
would-
hit
I would-
turn red. Or
I would
something.
do that. That'd be
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
because
Actually,
I
that
thought you
wouldn't
meant
be that
like
hard,
a
yeah.
live update or something. which like we could have it if we wanted to have the immersion. Like, you know how like when you're in Wii Bowling once again, picture yourself, close your eyes, we're in Wii Bowling, and you know how you nail that shot and it gives you a cool camera replay of that shot you just did, right?
Yeah.
And like in real bowling, you don't really have that. But if we still wanted to kind of imitate the game feel, but if we still wanted to imitate the game feel, if we have that in-game like diegetic screen that shows the score, I know we talked about using that for other purposes, like having the cool like creepy animations. But what if like as the ball gets close, we just switch that camera, like the TV, to show a like up close camera perspective of the pins, so it allows the player to not break the immersion, but also like showcases the pins being hit like a little bit more closely, and also might not be too hard to implement because that's just cutting the display to a like in-world camera that might just be invisible.
I would be interested in learning how to do render textures, because you need a secondary camera rendering that scene onto a texture on the TV, right?
Yeah.
And I've never done that before, but I should probably learn.
I don't know how. I know how to like use it like through the Source engine, but I've never seen it like know how to use it in like Unity.
If Cameron wants to figure it out, now's the time.
Yeah, no, I feel like that'd be a cool challenge.
You'd have to make sure that it's properly lit though, because that's gonna be a weird angle.
We could just what if we just like applied like, I don't know, like we would just have lights over the pins, like a soft lighting, and then maybe we just apply like a gamma filter or something to like boost it for the screen.
We could try, yeah.
Oh, actually, when Talker suggested that we put things in the replays that weren't actually there, that'd be so sick. Like just at one point, it's just like a ghost face in the replay.
Oh yeah, I know you can filter out like certain things to only show to certain cameras.
Oh, that'd be so dope. Yeah.
It's like I was messing around with an FPS before for another game jam, and there is a way to filter certain either meshes or layers for a specific camera. So it wouldn't be hard to just have it there, and the main camera can't see it, but the pin camera can.
That'd be a really cool thing to do for polish if we have extra time, yeah.
Right.
Can we write that down somewhere? I actually really like that.
Well, we should have. We need a
polish section of this, like an extra ideas or something.
Yep. Which is where we have all of our spooky stuff, really. Y'all write down that.
Yo, what's up?
Yeah.
Yo, what's up?
It just got really quiet, and I was like,
"Yeah, I know."
I wasn't quite sure what was going on, so figured I'd wait it out. Where were we? We were talking about. I think Andrew started saying something and then just stopped. Andrew, you good?
Andrew, are you alive?
The stream's still going.
Yeah, that's immediately what I checked on.
Well,
Well, Andrew is semi-dead, but all right.
Andrew's the ghost you have to face in the bowling game.
Just get a picture of him and put it in there.
Okay, so we were talking about polish, but back on track from the polish. So we have the scoring system. So we talked about the pins. We talked. Oh wait, was that?
Is he back?
Oh, I just said I'm back.
Oh, he's back.
He's back. Where did you go? Okay.
So after that, I guess we need like the ball coming back and switching to the next frame. That's the next thing we need. And then after that, it just repeats until it ends.
Right. Okay, yeah, so. Two shots per frame. Each frame until the end. Right. What do we want to write down for that? Like, frame system? Like, it's just sort of a game state system, right? It's just sort of keeping track of how far along we are. This is also probably going to play into what sort of things are occurring in the game.
Okay, so this is. So are we talking like logistically, mechanically speaking, how it's tracking that?
Yeah, I mean, sort of. Just
Okay. I guess
sort of a game state.
I guess if we just did it more like bowling, it would be pins are hit once. Like we would just do it on a like one of the pins is like moved from its original position, or we could do it like on collision.
It should probably be like when the ball, like reaches the end of the lane because it did not hit a pin.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So when the ball hits like a certain point on the lane, like a certain like X or like Z coordinate, whatever one, then we start like a timer, I guess. Like if it doesn't like bottom out, as in like hitting the back of the lane wherever the wall is, you know, if it doesn't bottom out, maybe like after crossing that threshold, there's like a certain timer that's activated, and then after like X seconds, it checks to see if the ball's like how much damage the ball's done or whatever, and then it sends the little robot thing down to, I guess, imitate the gripping of pins.
I think it'd be easy to just have the pins just like fade out of existence or some other effect. Having the robot.
I agree, but like we could imitate the robot by having like just a big like rectangle, because it'll be far enough from the player that you could just have a rectangle come down and like lock the pins to it. If we wanted to do the sweeping thing, which can be fun, but that might be a stretch goal, is to imitate the sweeping thing.
We could just despawn and respawn all of them. No big
Right,
deal.
that's probably
we could
start with.
I mean, we could just have like a curtain of some sort come down in front of it as we do the despawning, so it's not like super like. I mean, I don't know how much we care, because I think like we could have them fade out of existence, like I don't know, like a corpse fade type thing, you know, like when you have like a ragdoll and it disappears. We could just do it like that, where you knock them down, and then after that timer's up, all the ones that are down are faded out, and then we play the like replay or something, you know?
Alright, is there anything else we need?
So how are we going to have it so the ball, like, what's the timing and things on the ball return? How does that...
I guess like
3 seconds or something.
And like an audio cue, like of the boom plays, and then it
like
spits out, or
the ball collides with at least one pin, hopefully, or just hits some sort of trigger at the end of the lane, right?
Yeah.
And then like after a second or two, it'll like the game will like calculate what score you got and like display it on the screen or something. And then it'll be another 2 or 3 seconds, and then the ball pops back or something.
So does the So in real life, like if you hit the pin but the ball doesn't bottom out, like let's say you rolled it just barely enough because we're testing edge cases, just barely enough to knock over some of the pins, but it's still like it's not at the back, it's not in a gutter, it's just kind of rolling, right?
I think having a minimum timer, like what if they throw the balls so low that it barely reaches halfway across the lane and it gets
Or
stuck
we could
there?
just
Well-
make it like
well, like-
not allowed to be that slow.
I think it would be
we need to.
funnier is
think?
if we didn't have the ball despawn if we didn't need to.
Oh, that's
Uh,
true.
Because if you throw a ball and it
Yeah.
gets stuck, like that's funnier because now you have to play around your your
Yeah.
mistake.
Yeah.
Or
That's
play with your
true.
mistake. It might be like you might have set up a cool trick of bouncing the ball off at a certain point to do something.
Ooh.
That like not like by intentionally not limiting the player whether they need to, you add a
Yeah.
lot more fun to it. Like if they launch the ball, but they like I don't know, skim it and like barely miss like the box where with like all the pins are in, right? And they shoot it off and it bounces off the wall and like goes into the void. Like I want that ball to still be there. That's way funnier. And like it's not going to be a performance hit to have like
Yeah.
you know, maybe we give them like another ball as like a pity point
Yeah,
or something.
they have at least 2 balls.
Yeah, but I think it should stay in the environment. And in that case, right, would if you roll the ball and we're just having like if we just go with the despawn, like whatever.
Yeah.
You roll the ball minimum, it's not actually going in the gutter, it's not bottoming out. It's just kind of rolling. Normally in normal bowling, the swiper comes down, right, and it pushes the pins, but it also pushes any balls in that area back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if we don't have that, what would the ball just despawn in that case? Would that be like the edge case?
Oh, if it's in the pin area.
Yeah.
Well, I think
I-
like, that should be where it despawns. I think is if the ball gets pulled like by the sweeper thing into the pin area, that's how it should be despawned, right?
Well, we were
Well-
talking about not having the sweeper thing. Like that would be a stretch goal,
Oh,
the sweeper
I
thing.
see.
Yeah. I think if it's between frames, like if the pins are respawning, then the ball should despawn. But if not, it'd be kind of funny to just leave the ball there and like you could hit a split by bouncing your ball off the ball or something.
Yeah. It's in that area. Wind Talker, it is Celeste music. I have it faintly playing in the background, just that's something there. And with and Celeste music, Lena Rain said, yeah, you can use that on streams. So I'm like, okay, great. So it's just a playlist of Celeste music this entire time. All right.
In the ball return, we talked about having it potentially diegetic in world. If we have it like the camera pans over, right? In bowling alleys, sometimes it's like on a almost like a rack kind of thing, right? The balls come in and they are physically like rolling. Do we want that to be like? Do we want them to just kind of spawn in on that like kind of thing, like it's a shelf, or do we want it to be like
How hard is that gonna be?
maybe the spawn thing would just it launches at a set
Could
velocity?
we just pop them into existence, and if we have polish
Yeah.
time, like I
Yeah,
don't think I
right.
don't think that's one of the things that needs to be rolling as part of
Yeah.
the MVP.
Yeah.
That's why I asked. I just wanted to
Yeah,
like
yeah,
these are
I
things we
think-
got to think
no, yeah.
about.
I think spawning instantaneously is the way to go for MVP.
Yeah,
Um,
and they'll
yeah.
spawn in after like you throw, they spawn in after that, and then by the
Yeah.
time you pan to it, it's already there. Although you could add a sound effect that's just it coming out of the thing and it hitting a ball.
Yeah, have the sound effect, but like they can't see it.
So in that case, do we want to lock the player from being able to quickly whip their zoom away from what's happening to look at it?
Yeah, I think that's gonna be a set camera thing. Is like when you throw it, you like once you throw the ball, you can't move the camera until
Oh yeah, that could work.
the ball has hit the end, despawned, or that that set time is up, and then from there it will automatically either go back to the neutral and they have to go get the next ball themselves, or they can check the score.
I mean, I think they might be able. I think it'd be fine to allow them, especially if the screen's playing multiple roles, I think it'd be fine to allow them to hit tab or whatever key we bind it to. The ability to look at the screen at any point. Not any point, but like while they're in the neutral position, at any point can they like look up at it, especially while the ball is like rolling. Because if we're having it so like it has the close-up camera or the replay, I feel like having them be able to like glance at that while the ball's rolling is fine. I do think that I like the idea of limiting the player to how they pick up balls out from the ball exchange or the ball return, because in that case, right, it removes the potential of the player quickly grabbing a secondary ball and then rolling like 2 back to back, or like quickly throwing it while it's like not ready. We just eliminate that entirely by like not letting them be able to do that.
Alternatively, if the goal is to have stupid, silly physics, then let the player throw 2 balls at once.
Also, what happens if the ball gets stuck and we're not letting the player grab a ball until the reset? How do we determine that the ball is stuck and they can grab another ball? And how do we communicate that to the player?
After a certain time.
Yeah, after a certain amount of time.
And then maybe something. Yeah, we would need something to communicate that somehow, right?
Maybe it's just the audio cue plays in the left ear cup again, or the left ear channel, and it's just now you can.
Right.
I don't know. There is the wackiness of being able to throw 2 balls back to back, which could be fun.
If we wanted to do that, we could just take out the lock.
Yeah.
That stops them from switching.
And that could be through playtesting. We could just be like,
do we want this lock again, or do we not?
Yep.
In that case, like, we would have to account for that in how actually not really, because we could just do it like if the pin was touched, then it goes into the resetting like animation, quote unquote, and then it's not like registering new pin knockdowns until the end of the animation or something. Or we do something to imitate the blocker just for the sake of blocking additional shots. So you'd have to be like really fast about it to get 2 in there. All right, so we do need a system in place for, and like this, I think this would be partially on my end, or mostly on my end, is the like tracking the spares and strikes. Like it's a relatively simple calculation if we just detect if pins are knocked over, but like how like that would impact gameplay of like, okay, you've gotten a spare, you've gotten a strike, how does that impact the scoring of it? How does that like impact other things? So we would need to account for that, because I guess like kind of we're in order, we're kind of at the end of the turn if we're going chronologically. So it's like they've rolled the ball, they've gotten their result, they've watched the replay, they've gotten their ball returned, they're rolling again. They've either succeeded or failed on getting the spare. And then now I guess there's a transition into the next frame. Like if normally, like if you're bowling with other people, the other person would go, but we're like bowling individually, so I guess it just immediately transitions to like, okay, go again. Do we want some sort of indication of a transition, like of this is a new frame, to kind of up the like it? Because I'm kind of, the only reason I bring this up is like I don't want it, at least like outside of the MVP, because the MVP is an MVP. Like potentially feeling wise, it might feel like your scores blending together. Like each frame is blending together. You're just throwing balls after balls, and it doesn't like it feels very similar. So you might not notice that it's a new frame unless there's an indication of it. Unless there's like a brief pause or an audio cue. Maybe there's like some text on screen or something, or maybe there's a bright light. Maybe there's like a little animation that plays on the CRT above you that's like frame 7 or something, right? So now there's like a little bit more indication. What if it's just the you know, the little like jingle and like sound that plays in the COD Zombies like end round? It's just that. Like the round is ended.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. I think this is like, we detailed out like all the core stuff, right? And then from there, all the other things are just going to be set events that would just spook up.
Yeah.
Cool.
So what sort of VFX are we looking for MVP?
I guess the screen is number one. And I guess like part of it is like artist interpretation, right? Because like it'll be I don't want to like require I don't know how much work a singular shader requires, and I don't know how much you're capable of. I don't want to like over encumber you with like requests or whatever, or something that you can't physically do. So it's kind of like leaving that up to you in a sense of like what you feel that you can do that would also contribute to like an artistic vision, which kind of fits, like gives you a lot of control over the styling, if you're okay with that. So like I would say I don't know exactly what is lighting and what is visual, like what is VFX or shaders. Because like if we wanted to do a fog of war kind of eerie lighting, I know there's an interplay between shaders and lighting there, but I don't know how much of that is what and how we can accomplish that.
Like I
using your
could
skill
do
set.
some like big, giant particle systems that just spawn some sort of fog-looking things, but if there's like some sort of fog volume built into Unity, I don't really know about it yet. I don't know if that's easily doable or not.
Would be
But
cool
I
to
could
look into that.
spawn some smoky particles along the walls or something. That shouldn't be a big deal.
Yeah.
So. Okay. What else? Like.
If we wanted
do we
to
want
have
a trail renderer when you throw the ball?
Cool.
Like
maybe depending on the certain, maybe a skull does that or something.
yeah, like a skull could do that. I don't know how like how gamey we like if that would be more or less immersive, you know, because it would look
be
cool.
less immersive, but like more showing you the visual information that like, oh, there it goes. It helps your eye track it, you know.
Yeah. But that
So-
also could be dependent on the color and texture of the ball
Eye
in
track
correspondence
it.
with the environment.
You know.
Yeah. And like, granted, it might help
but
because
that
if we're
also
doing
could
a
be
lot of
dependent
dark environments, it might be harder to see your dark ball. But it depends on the lighting.
So on bowling ball, on each throw, or do you just want it on the skull for now, or what?
Like I mean, if you made one for the ball or the skull, how like easy is it to start transferring some of the like existing like mapping or like coding or whatever to the other one? Like how would you have to start from scratch?
It is extremely easy to make a trail renderer.
Okay.
It'll take like 10 minutes tops.
Okay, so then in that case, go ahead and make one for the ball, and then we can use that to like judge if we feel like it fits the game feel or not. I mean, if anything, it will be beneficial to testing, but like we'd have to like make a judgment call on if it fits what we're going for in terms of like style. I do think.
Do we want any sort of stylized rendering? Because we can make something that like there's just some sort of grunge texture all over every single material, or
I think that would be awesome if we could have if like some sort of ultimate up to you, a static that would work with what we're going with, that everything has. Yeah, that would be awesome.
Okay.
Plus then that works with like if we have very simple models and whatnot, it's still stylized.
Okay, so that makes me think that like for all the non-bowling ball materials, there's going to be some sort of master texture or
Yeah,
master material, right? And then you just swap out which texture you need. So you can
Yeah.
swap it out with wood or
Yeah,
painted
I think
walls.
the master material, the most important thing about that should be how it plays with light. Because if we're doing like low light and we kind of want to give off like a like a grungy kind of dirty whatever, like, or at least like an eerie vibe, I feel like having them respond to light in a certain way. I'm not entirely sure what that is. We could probably look around for some like examples or like some inspiration for that.
I mean, we can just like whatever grime texture we do, we just also add the normal map for that.
Yeah, all I know about like VFX and stuff is like you can use, or like shaders, is that like you can kind of control how the items play with light in certain ways, and that might be very useful to have it like on just a master texture or master shader that we could throw around, because like if it would make the lighting job so much easier if everything just plays nice, you know.
Right.
What do we want the environment to look like? Did we want to go for the like minimalistic style, like super hot, or do we want to have like an actual bowling alley?
Yeah, that's important. If we do something like super hot, I think it should not be mostly white. I think it should be mostly like
Yeah, mostly like
gray or
a dark
something.
gray or like a orangish gray maybe.
I was thinking like kind of bluish, and then we could do orange lighting.
That gives like sci-fi early 2000s vibes. The blue dark tones and like orange highlights, it like, I mean, it works in a lot of things, but I don't know how.
Then you're just a movie poster from like the early 2010s.
Yes. Well, we'd have to make sure we nailed it with the blue and the orange specifically. I feel like maybe we use kind of a dark gray or a black or something, like not pure black, but like something dark for the minimalist. So that way, like the only things that are, I don't know if everything's that color. If it's like super hot, right? If everything's like a dark gray on a black background, it might make it hard to see.
Mhm.
So we have to
We could
strike
do,
a balance there.
Like
So-
anything that you roll down the lane, whether it's a bowling ball or a skull or a pumpkin or whatever, can be some sort of like bright orange, and then maybe the CRT has some sort of tint to it. The pins are like bright white or something, and then everything else is just like some dark color.
I mean, like,
You know, so the key objects are like really visible. But
do
then
we want it to
everything
be
else is
warm or cool? Because like if we had like
Cool.
everything,
dingy, grimy.
okay. So in
Dark
that case, I
cave.
guess we would do. I guess in that case we could do like a bluish gray, or like a darker, because like that would gives off like a cool, colder vibe.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I'm just thinking of like bowling alley is the essence of a bowling alley. I think like wood, and wood tends to be warmer. Like it can still be grungy, gross wood, but wood is still like brown orange, you know?
Yeah, that's true. I'm trying to find good like reference images for this. Open.
Well, it's like, how much can we have it change as it goes on?
We use this color, but we just change all of this palette to be like darker.
Uh-huh.
Or we could, actually, you know what? Bowling alleys do have the blacklight aesthetic. We could
Yeah.
lean into that.
Ooh. And it actually becomes like, as things follow, you know, that sort of like the
Yeah.
blacklight,
Yeah. Andrew, do you wanna pull that on
galaxy
stream?
stuff.
It would almost
These reference images?
explain the why certain game elements would be like luminescent or like glowing, is because they're under a blacklight. So it kind of feels a little bit more realistic, or at least like sort of realistic in that sense.
Yeah, sort of see. That could be cool, like, because a lot of them have that like galaxy, and then when things actually fall away, and it ends up in the void, like maybe you actually are like right, because that was sort of a polished idea, was like
Yeah.
and then you're actually in the middle of like cosmic space or something, right? Like that. So that's oh, is that is we?
Is the neon aesthetic spooky?
I don't know, because I think this, like the older bowling alleys that are like 70s kind of, I feel like that's kind of, if you put a grunge on it, that's kind of spooky because it's old, and like maybe for someone from the 70s it's not as like spooky, but for like people our age, there's kind of an intrinsic kind of like creakiness to it, a little bit of like
Yeah.
this is a place like past its prime. Yeah, Windtalker, it's cool to drop a link in chat as long as it's like, school appropriate and not a phishing link.
Please no phishing links in chat.
Darn it.
Evil plans foiled again.
Yeah, I guess that's why I was thinking warm is like I was just, my mind was thinking 70s like colors.
Yeah.
But I don't think
Not
that
sure which one to go for.
I don't know. They're both. I like the idea of the blacklight one. I think that's kind of like neat, but I think that might be one hard, or like maybe a little bit hard for us to nail. It would be easier to do with the to like, for if we wanted to make it look pretty, I feel like that would be easier for us to do. But I don't know, it feels newer, right? So if we're going with it's a haunted bowl, I feel like it might be less likely for a 2000s era bowling alley to be as haunted, or at least, I mean, it's not impossible, like in the realm of Ghost, it's like about the same chance. But it depends on the kind of ghost we're going for, and also I don't know if blacklight bowling alleys are intrinsically spooky. They can be, but I don't know if they give off that vibe,
Yeah,
Like-
feel free. Talker.
What if it's just like generally kind of dingy, and then you have black lights that just like flicker on occasionally?
I found this bowling alley someone made in Unreal.
What if we just like took some of the color palette from that and utilized it? Like, I like that wood.
Really good, right?
Looks really cool. That's probably like way too high quality for what we have time for.
Well, I'm just saying, like, if we boiled this down to its most basic elements of like, okay, we got grimy, we got some grime, we got some color. Like, if we took this color and put it on like super hot like screenshots, right? Like, can we get it there with some grime and some dirt and dust on the like the runway and stuff? Like, depending on what we add, could we, how minimalistic can we take that image and boil it down to keep the aura?
I mean, how like much do you want the lane itself to stand out? Because like the walls and the floor and the ceiling could all be like roughly the same color. How many props do we want to have? How realistic do we want this to feel? Because if we're going for heavy stylization, then we just don't even have to have that much distracting stuff.
Yeah, like I'm thinking like what we would have is you're in one, like at least like right now I'm thinking we'd have like one lane with some lanes next to it. So we would basically just have lane and gutter and the thing in between, the bumpers or whatever. And then you would just kind of have that stretch on until like there's just like fog. So that's like all that's rendered along with the pins in the back wall, and then like we'd render stuff differently. Sorry,
do we
Bill.
want
What'd
to
you say?
have actual walls, or do we want to have a void in the back?
I was thinking we'd see the back wall because like we'd be able to see, or we could have a void. That could work. I was envisioning like potentially like a wall or something because we could use that to hide, like if we did a ball pickup kind of thing, we could hide some of the mechanism or like spawning and stuff behind that. But other than that back wall, I feel like it would be like obscured or void. I don't know. I guess we would do ceiling, so you could launch the ball at the ceiling if you wanted to, but like
Yeah. I don't think we need much props. There's like that, and then like the screen, ball selection, and that's about it. Because they can't turn around.
yeah.
See, Bill, I'm only just now seeing your link of this bowling alley like free asset.
Yeah, that's the only one I could find.
Um,
I'm not sure how much it
How
fits our needs
similar-
though.
Cause like even if it does, oh wait, what kind of file is this though?
I don't know.
It's these are weird. You might be able to convert it because this is Sketchfab, so this isn't even like normal like 3D models that games normally
It
use.
says compatible with Unity.
I think you could import it in some way. I mean, we might be able to like change up the materials a bit.
Yeah, because like the wood grain, like on the lanes, is technically going like the wrong way.
Why
Like you
is
wouldn't have
going
it.
the wrong way? What is up with that?
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, we
Oh, but
could take some like this.
there's
and-
no overhead screens like right by the chairs.
Yeah, we'd have to make a screen if
Yeah.
we wanted to use
Yeah,
this.
Like-
Henry, I think we need to figure out what time period we're going for. Because if you're saying like 70s, then I don't think that would have.
Well,
those
I was
overhanging
thinking
screens.
like
If we're doing like
I was thinking CRT. So whatever era bowling
like 90s.
alley has a CRT.
I mean, it could be from the 70s and they upgraded and added a TV thing.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean like most bowling alleys were updated, right, to stay with the times. Right? I mean, I don't know. I'm not a bowling expert.
Neither am I.
Why not?
Are you, Cameron?
No, I'm just asking why Henry's not.
It's just I don't know. I'm not with it.
I mean, it might not be so bad to just adapt this.
Just
Sure.
take out all the
Assuming we can
textures.
import everything properly.
I could fiddle with this.
Like, what do you guys think if we were able to just use this? I wonder,
Worth a
like,
try.
could you import it though and have just the benches on their own, or just the ball return on its own?
We'd have to import it
Because-
and try it out.
If you
Yeah,
can't
it depends.
move any of the components around, if we needed to change anything, then
Actually, I'm not sure if I really like this one because the gutters are really tiny.
Yeah.
Like we can't really work with that. It's like if a ball were to fit in this gutter, that'd be like
This era. Hold on. I got you.
yeah. I looking closer. I don't know if we can actually use this model.
Like around here. Early 2000s.
Oh my god.
wait, can we clip that sound? Is that the sound we wanted?
Is it?
Hold on, let me.
It's a
It's
thought,
very
but
it's
it's
very
not
distant.
very loud.
It's not the
Yeah.
you don't feel the shock of everyone in the room.
You don't
Yeah.
feel the fear that you just broke the wood panels on the floor.
Yeah.
Boom.
I'm trying to find
Yeah, and there's
I mean, do we want the bowling alley to be that bright?
I mean,
you can
Yeah.
start that way.
if it was like, because like there's some. I was gonna say there's something eerie about fluorescent lighting, right?
Mhm.
But I like the idea of it can start that way. That's like, what if it flickers out or something?
Yeah, partway through, and I think it just gets darker as part of it, and yeah, I agree. I think starting like brighter, more good, and then we can go from there. More dangy. Anyways, we'll probably keep going back and forth on this, right? And as we start applying things, but just sort of have an idea. You have an idea, Cameron, or do you want to what?
I
Or
so are we all on board with the idea of like some objects clearly standing out and other objects being more or less the same color and kind of
Are we
fading in
going
and back?
for the like super hot style? So like the environments like one texture, or maybe
And
we
the
have like
interactable
some
objects are
things
different.
Yeah, and interactables are different.
Yeah, because like which things would we want to stand out?
Would- yeah. Also, would that work with sort of some of the like spooky stuff we're going with? Like, I know it won't be like pure white, but like you need more than just one texture. Like, it could be very minimalist and only a few
I
textures,
think we
but
could have like definitely not just one, maybe like a handful.
Yeah,
right.
but they could be like more essence. Like it could be like really stretched out, or like pixelated or something. So it's like more of a. It's not clear that it's wood. It just provokes wood. You know.
Uh-huh.
So like maybe we just have a noisy texture and a not noisy texture, and like just like one with streaks. I don't know. Like it could be. That's one way of maintaining minimal while also like not requiring a ton of work. Another way
Yeah.
is like we could do it almost like it's like a 90s PC game. Like we could do like Dusk or something, right? Where it's like pixelated textures
Yeah.
over like low poly models. Like that's another way to do.
Yeah.
And that would invoke kind of be another way to invoke a time period. I know we're not going 90s, like
Uh-huh.
it could invoke like old computer game or something.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what we would want, but you know.
Not sure how easy that is done.
Exactly.
I'm thinking like kind of going in the vein of super hot should be fine. We could make the lane stand out a little bit, the bowling ball and skull stand out a little bit, the CRT stand out, and maybe the ball return.
I think the ball return should blend in with the environment, so maybe not stand
Think
out.
so? Just the bowling balls? Okay.
Yeah.
Is that it? Is that all we need to have attention brought to?
Yeah, for now, I think.
Uh,
I agree. A dusk-like aesthetic would be awesome, and Dusk has some scary moments.
It's a fantastic
Or
game, but
kills,
I don't know.
though.
That might be too outside of our scope because I
Yeah.
don't know.
Good
Yeah.
reference image for that.
I can try and find one real
So we can
quick.
compare.
Or what?
Here's one image that kind of provokes it.
So
This kind of.
It might be hard to do that though if we're trying to convey information on the TV. Because the TV would have to be like way higher res than everything else, right?
You could technically like imitate, like obviously you couldn't like scale it down all the way, but you could do like a pseudo like a screen scale or whatever on it, so it's slightly like lower res, so it doesn't look like, you know, perfect. And I feel like we'd have to do that anyways, so that, you know, feel less TVE. Like we'd have to put some sort of screen scaling, so it's like 90% or something.
So, would you guys rather have all this color with lower poly assets?
I don't, like I said, this would be potentially more work. The low
Yeah.
poly assets is, I think, a solid choice for the minimum viable product. Of like, we don't have to worry about making or finding textures that play nice with each other, you know? Because like finding textures is one thing, but like if we need a specific thing that fits in with the other stuff, we'd either have to make it or to edit something else or to look
Yeah.
really hard.
I was thinking for like just the main room. It's basically just going to be simple shapes. So that's
Yeah.
going to be too hard. Our main issues with models are going to be the TV and the ball selection, because I think we can find pins and bowling balls pretty easily.
Yeah.
And we want those to stand out already, so that's not going to be much of an issue.
We might just need to like make a ball return out of like Unity primitives.
Yeah.
Call it a
Yeah.
day.
I was already thinking about just making
Yeah.
the level out of
Yeah,
Unity
okay, so
primitives,
if-
'cause
if-
it's going to be simple shapes.
Yeah.
If finding
texture the
3 bowling
primitives.
assets is an issue, I say super hot, and everything can kind of be the same and easy texturing.
Yeah, I was
if we
looking
have
for
to
a
make our
while.
own
That one
assets, like,
room
that's
was the
fine.
only free bowling alley I could find.
Yeah, I say super hot. I think
Yeah,
makes
I think that
sense.
would also be just like, it would look like intentional and also stylized.
Okay.
As long as you think like they'll capture that feel.
I feel like
Yeah.
part of it, like the spooky feel of it, will come from
Lighting and
the
color
lighting
mixing.
and shading and stuff,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
and sound would make up for some of the
Mm.
lack of it. So if we can nail, like, or at least play around with like getting that essence through the shading and the lighting, which may actually be one of the harder parts of this, then it should be fine. Otherwise, we could just make the sound really good and then make up for everything. So
Do we want like a specific palette?
I think we can construct one. Maybe not for like right away. Maybe we wait till like a midweek type thing.
Yeah,
to-
that's something we'd want to toy around with.
Yeah, because like we could do. I like that like Unreal render, or like the 70s era one, or even like the first Dusk screenshot has a really cool like kind of brown. I think like maybe if we based it around brown, that could be neat. But yeah, there's a lot to consider. There's a lot to play around with.
Ooh, actually, this one's kind of cool. Do
I kind of like that last one.
Yeah, I kind of.
the last one has some nice like kind of samey colors for the background, but anything like important can be this like harsh toxic green. Like I don't know, that could be nice. What do y'all think? Like at least for experimentation, I could use that last one.
Yeah,
sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. What else is left to decide on?
We have the general idea of the aesthetic. We have the kind of the game plan on what people are working on. Should we come up with a plan, like a list of things that we want to have like done by like midweek,
yeah.
I mean,
Sure.
or is that too wishful thinking? I'm not super
I
experienced with
definitely
game
think like a midweek goal is a good idea.
midweek goal, VP, probably not. Depends on y'all's schedule. I know I have a project due tomorrow. How much?
Yeah.
Here, I'm gonna step away from stream for just a second.
So midweek goal would what be? Tuesday, Wednesday?
Something like that. Yeah, like around
Friday.
Wednesday, or well, actually, yeah, because it's due Friday. So yeah, I guess around like maybe like Wednesday-ish, Tuesday-ish.
Tuesday night, Wednesday morning.
Yeah, kind of around then. We should aim to have like a general idea of like I can try and get some of the basic systems like knocked out. And I don't know how hard the player control. I know Noah has a busy week, so I don't know. Maybe like for in that case for the player controller, maybe we should have like kind of figure out what direction we want to take the control method in, whether it be based on time or fun factor, like at least like some sort of like quick and dirty prototype, and then like an understanding of what we need to take that in.
Yeah.
I guess like environment, maybe not the ball like as quite as detailed as like the ball return, but like maybe like at least the lanes. 'Cause I feel like that'd be easier because you make one
Yeah, I
lane and you
should've
dupe it.
Get that done
Uh,
on
At least the
Tuesday.
white box.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
white box and like maybe
Honestly,
like
the white box probably is just gonna be the final product.
yeah,
Valid.
maybe make like a really simple white box for the monitor and the ball, and then you can like if you want to, you can go back and refine it, or we can just keep it as
Yeah.
like a singular square.
I think the monitor we will have to find something. I don't know how well I can toss something together with that.
Yeah, that might be tough, but I don't know. We'll have to play that by ear.
Yeah.
As for some of the other stuff, it would be cool if we could have the like the ball return system done. 'Cause I don't know. I don't think that'd be super difficult. Like the throwing mechanisms, the getting that down would be hard, but at least having something that we could test with, right? Like maybe you just left click and it just launches at a set velocity or something, right? Like so we can start the sooner that's done the better, because that makes my job easier of testing the pins, how they work, and then like implementing maybe a ball return or something.
Yeah, I think I can probably just set it up as like a very basic click button to throw ball, and then refine beyond that, like once we have something kind of usable.
All right, cool.
And I just want to clarify, we are doing like a first-person point of view, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it staying to that like the whole time? Since like I know we're talking about like moving the camera around kind of funky.
Yeah, the camera would be like, from what I understand, the camera is locked in a certain like position in 3D space. It might like, but like the rotation would change depending on like the like if you're
Yeah.
looking at the ball return or if you're looking at the monitor.
Okay.
All right. Environment. I'll try to set up at least an audio. Get it?
And then like I don't know how complicated the camera stuff would be, but if you could get like a basic version of that, like of
Yeah.
implementation of the camera system, so we can like start doing things based around the perspective, that'd be handy. The tricky part is like, how much do we want to have done by like if we're aiming for like Tuesday night, right? Like how much do we want to have left to go in the latter half of the week? Because that's a like that would kind of depend on individual people's
I'm gonna
schedules.
be more free in the latter half of the week.
Yeah,
Okay.
same.
I will too.
All right, yeah, because mine, I might be more of the opposite. My week might be like more like loaded until
Yeah, same for myself. I think I'm a little bit more free in the beginning half.
yeah. So I might go a little bit harder in the beginning, to kind of account for that. But
That can work out then if both of you are more free and then get like the core like systems working right. The ends falling over back in. I know from there, the rest of us are add in all environment
yeah, like
in general.
I think my plan, at least for like the UI, would be to complete the systems first and implement the UI second. And then
Right.
like so like I would get ideally have the systems in place for like tracking pins knocked and whatever by like Tuesday night. And then that way all I have to do is like like all I would have to do for the UI is just hook it up to reflect the data values.
Are we gonna have crosshairs?
I mean, maybe depending on what kind of throwing system we go with.
Or are we just like you point and click at a ball and it just kind of floats in midair in front of you?
Like if we
I mean, you could do a sort of like perspective trick, just have the ball like really close to the camera at the bottom so that it looks kind of like you're holding it without actually
Right,
having to model a hand
exactly.
to it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Bottom right.
What does environment setup mean exactly?
White box basically.
Okay.
Albeit box might be basic.
Just basic geometry.
Mm-hmm.
Dead air. All right.
so is that, do we all kind of have an idea of what we want to get done by midweek?
I think so.
Cool. Like after that, is there anything else that we need to kind of plan out?
Non-effect list. All hitting floor.
And
Like pin
pins.
collision, yeah.
Ball returning.
Like maybe some sort of ambient sound for the background, some sort of like droning, or I don't know.
Do we want any music or do we just want the ambience?
I think the ambience would be more powerful.
Yeah.
Everything has
all
to have
this
echo because
stuff.
you're in a bowling alley.
Time to figure this. Us too.
Maybe have like a menu button sound effect just for.
Yeah. Yep. And then all the spooky stuff later.
Yeah.
Right.
Would we need ball rolling?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
probably. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, those. Any other sounds we want?
Ooh, yeah, like an electronic hum or something coming from the TV.
Yeah.
Like obviously, like some like fun, like out of date chimes or something that the TV could make. Like if you do something cool.
Yeah.
But I mean that's kind of that's like I don't think that's MVP.
That's a little extra.
Cool. I think should have just about everything like planned out. Like this is pretty. This is probably the most detailed I think I've gotten in a game jam.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well, you didn't have to fill 4 hours before.
True. This is us. Yeah, I mean this is really good. Just sort of to show that off. This.
And the other game jams were also like 1 or 2 days long, so didn't
Right.
have time
At that
for
point,
this.
it's just we have an idea. We're going. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I think this is just about everything.
All right, dope.
You want to? Oh, right. We had a bunch of spooky ideas when I read it down, which was like walls falling away.
We can write that under polish, yeah.
Sucker. Or all this stuff, I think. Oh. Eyeball. Gone.
Oh yeah.
Yes. The ghost itself, we sort of dropped the ghost, right?
Yeah, I think the ghost is little too beyond scope.
It probably is, yeah.
Duration.
I mean, it could just be like a billboard sprite that like the camera pans over to like if the ball exchanges to the left, the ghost might be on your right, and like the game opens by like the camera's looking at the ghost, and it has like some like I don't know like some Animal Crossing style like text box, right, where it's like and like the text shows up and it's like this is my bowling alley, you must defeat me or whatever, right? And then it just pans back and then you're in the game. Like it could be as simple as that, but that might ruin the atmosphere to have billboard PNG ghost talk to you.
Yeah, there's also the puzzle levels.
Yeah.
I can't type.
Obstacles and things.
Yeah, if we have time for that.
Probably be puzzle.
if we have the ability to shoot light speed balls, I think it would be really easy to have pins spawn in another lane and you have to hit those instead.
Yeah.
I think that would be really easy if we had light speed balls that could just bounce in other lanes.
Well, would we have the little hump? Because like you know how like bowling alleys will have the hump in between lanes
Yeah.
to prevent you from doing. So like, I mean,
We'll see how the physics works. If the physics allows for it.
yeah, and like maybe like we'd have to have some sort of system that would allow you to lob the ball.
Yeah. That
I don't know.
depends on
Maybe we just
how
make it in
far
VR.
Let's go.
Anyone have a VR headset?
I do, and Andrew does.
Oh wow. Well, you'll have fun.
And yeah, I'm sure Noah will have a great time trying to the throwing mechanism.
It's fine, easy.
Literally, like the only part that would like change in VR.
Just throw a ball. How hard could it possibly be?
Boy.
Is there Wii Bowling VR yet?
I mean, are you saying that someone mod Wii Bolt?
No, just like is
Or-
there like a Wii Bowling style VR game?
I sure there is.
VR physics bowling new side quest game.
Let's bowl VR. Pro bowling. Premium bowling.
VR Sports 10 is apparently what it's called. And it's designed to basically clone Wii Sports. There it is on Steam. Yep, it's Wii Sports, but
Nice.
VR. All right, well, is that it? Did we touch everything?
I think so.
I think for the planning wise, so like a little bit time here. Yeah, good. I guess at this point, let's just sure everyone gets get set up and like go in and actually start doing. Yeah. So for anyone still watching, apparently we still have 10 people. Don't know if it's just us with it open. Wind Talker, the MVP, is still here. Yeah, so for anyone who's still watching, I do highly recommend set up a Git repository. Never used Git before. This is time to learn it. If you have, use Git. I recommend using some sort of visual interface, although you can do it command line. It's just nice, especially working with game files, be able to see everything you push and pulling in. Or so Git Kraken is very good. Everyone got the invitation to the GitHub.
Yeah, I already got it set up and everything.
Yeah.
Do we all just want to work on the same branch? Do we just want to have our own branch? Probably have our own scenes for now, right?
Definitely different branches.
Yeah, that's okay. No need to have a dev and master, right? We'll just have a master.
Just master.
Yeah. Okay. So have your own branch, have your own scene. Especially up until like this midpoint, and then at like that sort of midweek talk about, we can then like probably have a main scene setup. What? Henry, do you have
I
your
don't.
Kraken?
I don't think
You'll
I
need
got the. Or
I
where would
sent
I?
it to a different
You
Henry.
might. No, wait.
Should
Hold
be
on.
should be in your inbox.
Let me double
whatever
check.
setup it is.
Yeah, I'm looking around for it. Might just be missing it.
Yeah, I got the invite.
Awesome.
Did your invite like show up in your notifications?
I did it from the email, but I think
I
it
have
should
to
be a
didn't
notification.
see an email. That's what I checked for.
All right.
I sent the link to my GitHub and Discord a bit ago. Or maybe it sent it to my other email because I do. No, I don't see it on this one either. Okay. Yeah, I didn't get an email. Almost forgot to do my daily health check.
You fool. You gotta get those T-Mock stickers.
Sure. Bit ready, sure. Pretty sure I did not.
I might just be tripping.
No,
Is it in your
it's me.
spam?
It's me.
Oh.
Uninvite this. I don't know. I sent it to a Warner, not a
Oh,
Warner.
come on, man.
No.
I sent you a link too.
We have a sixth teammate.
Sorry, Henry, you've been replaced.
Such is the way of things.
It's the newer, better model.
All right, now you should have got an invitation.
Yeah, there it is. Alright, yep, I'm in.
We'll open up Unity. All right. URP should be able to do a lot more, right? Cameron?
Can you repeat that?
URP should be able to do a lot more stuff.
URP I think just makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
I feel like HDRP is like the AAA way to go, but URP is like the indie game jam way to go.
There you go.
I think for quicker prototyping, like yeah.
Do we want to spend this? We want to. Where do we want? Just start developing and. Well.
Yeah.
Just sort of go into it. Yeah.
Does Bill want to do any level layout stuff?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, I need an install Pro Builder.
Grab Cinema Machine. Guess at this point, I can just talk through what I'm doing for this last little bit. I muted myself on the Discord so the others can't hear me. But I don't know who all is still here on the stream. It's been a few hours. If anyone's still here, JL sticking around. I'll just maybe mess with the camera a bit. On for a little bit. See what we can get. All the Andrews test scene. Everyone having their own test scenes, very good. You don't step on each other's toes. The biggest part of like conflicts, especially with like merging it using Unity, is going to be your scenes. If someone edits a scene and someone else does, and then you try to merge those together, Unity doesn't know what to do. Git Kraken doesn't know what to do. It just it tries to merge it, and then you corrupted your file, typically. So, want to be more preventive action. Let's see here. Cinema Machine is a package. I gotta remember again how to get to it. For package. Custom package is somewhere. Let's forget. Hey, is it its own component? I mean, not component, window. Yeah, it is. It is. There we go. Cool. There's a bunch of packages that can be with it. So these are your like libraries that you can use. You got like AR stuff. You got some basic pathing, sprite. Or what we want here is Cinema Machine. It basically is just a library for camera, but like with more. Go. Oh. Oh. Didn't even say anything. Hear ya. I guess at this point, feel free to keep working. I'm sort of muting myself and talking just to the stream as I go through what I'm just gonna mess around a bit with this machine. Just do that to fill just a little bit more time. But I think we've done this. We've finished the stream. We've done sort of the pre-production and went through all that. So if y'all need to go, feel free, or whatnot. Feel free to keep working on stuff. I'll be hanging here till 8 and probably just narrating myself going through Cinema Machine 2. I don't even know how many people are actually watching at this point.
All right, man. Well, I got some stuff I got to get done before midnight, so I might
That
bounce.
sounds
But
good.
I think the stream went well. Thank you for everyone who's been here so far. It's been a blast.
Yeah.
Thank you, Windtalker55.
Yo, shouts out Wind Talker, my man.
Shout out to the
Let's
guy.
go.
I haven't seen you in chat in a hot minute, but
Yeah,
yo,
Tucker may
if
have
you,
left. Fortunate.
hey yo, if he sees the VOD, yeah, the offer not just for him but for anyone watching, still open. If you get me that bowling alley clip, I'll PayPal you $5.
Must go to a bowling alley and throw it up in the air.
Must
We
have
need video evidence.
All right, well, I'm gonna bounce, but stay safe, everyone.
Yeah.
Alright, I'm
see
gonna
ya.
dip too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peace out, everybody.
Good.
Thanks
See
for
y'all.
watching.
See y'all.
See you
Thanks
guys.
for watching.
I'll keep going. I don't know. I see 10 people here. Me. Close. Practice anyway. Streaming is something I wouldn't mind like doing a little more of. Actually play games. Just stream. I don't need to like do it for a living or anything. Like a little pastime, I guess. A little more to it. Game. Justification to be talking to myself. Instead it feels like I'm talking to someone else. Anyways, should have the machine ported. Let's import this example. Let's take a look at it. I wouldn't mind taking a look. Alright. Oh, wow. That's a lot of examples. This game view. Does it have anything? Okay. But assume as I go up, scan. Minor. Another. This window off. See, it's like you could just put the camera on the player, right? But Cinema Machine, like this specifically, we're moving the player, and since we're against the wall, we don't want to actually see what's behind this wall. And if it was just centered on the player, you would then see what's over there. And so we want it to stop here, and then going this way, we want the camera to move with it. And it's sort of classics, right? But around like that. Oh, there we go. Now jump right? Ah, I have to not be. It's not a character controller example. So, all right, let's. Is this one? I know we're not doing two. I'm curious now. Oh, cool. So there's like two focuses in there's that box over there and then our character, and it sort of zooms in and out. And then of course there's a minimum. At this point it sort of works like that. Minor. Blend. Also, I don't think everything's supposed to be this pink color. This is probably a side effect of it being in a probably normal or HDRP pipeline So we are doing an URP pipeline, Universal Rendering Pipeline. Let's see, if I click on the environment, it's probably, yeah, this default prototype is not what we want. What do we want? Oh, this stuff is the stuff you asked Cameron on. I don't know shaders that well. Oh well, hope y'all like pink. Blend list. Body tree. Sure. Oh, in this. Oh, there is. Dang, that's unfortunate. That person in there. Model or something. Aha! You there. We can make this hot. This. Oi. Probably just have a. Eh. Ah. Skybox. Let's see here. That's definitely a little tough. Materials. Ah, here we go. There we go. Drywall. Pepsi. And boom. Alright. Play. Cool. I'm not exactly sure. It seems like a stationary camera. A lie. Probably something. Well. Yeah, it does. Similar to do a camera movement with any shot. Sub camera. Scene has been. You can find that on the main camera. Shit. Ah. Got it. Unenable this. Enable take cuts. Huh. I mean, we could maybe sort of use something like, right? Maybe part of the replay zooms in or something. I don't know. Right, and then I'm gonna enable this one that blends. Ah, here we go. Cool. You can see like just how smooth this camera like moves around. I unenable it. Then we go all the way back in field of view. But yeah, sort of cinematic. He's coming. Goes. Cool. But yeah, the ability to blend between the cameras is probably going to be important. As say this is our zoom in on the score, and then we want to then zoom. Yeah, this is like our main one. Fine. and then we want zoom in on the nothing else, and so probably have, because these are different cameras than a machine. Technically, I think only one camera. Try. Right now, it's just cutting. Let's ease in out, right? So this is our, because we have 3 states, so we're gonna need from like the main to zooming in. Yeah, see, like it doesn't even cut or anything. Just go straight to it, and then unenable this. Back to the main bit. All right, now let's look at the score, for instance. Boom. Cool, eh? And we can set, you can mess around a lot with like how this blends, but this is a good baseline. Obviously, these aren't like the exact camera angles or anything, but like this idea is sort of there. So that should be cool. But while we're here, let's this is actually a participant's game. This is SGDA's gonna be this is our process stream of us like starting the game jam, and so we will in the end submit this bowling spooky game to the Hack UTD. We've just SGDA is partnered with Hack UTD, and so we're here to help like demo the I don't know when you showed up here, Tybear, but we were going through the pre-production and talking the design, breaking down for a game jam. And at this point, just spending a little bit of time looking at something that I'll be doing, which is some of the camera systems. And so this camera system here, just playing around with what Cinema Machine has to offer, and we'll probably try to integrate that into our like a game from SGDA as a group. Yep. So this is there's a group of us 5 officers working together, and we're gonna submit this Friday. So. Yep. All right, now we just sort of got into the actually like doing things in Uni right now. I'm just experimenting. Let's see. I like the blend between this, but do we have other? There's a lot of cool. This is blendless cam. Thanks, Hyper. Yeah, I know there's a lot of beginners. I mean, your main priority for a game jam should be to learn. So, hopefully, a lot of people take this opportunity to learn. And there are cash prizes, but we'll see. Our games, it has a lot. It has a lot of static that goes for it. So either, I feel like if we do it right, it'll hit really well. Otherwise, it may just miss the mark. But we'll see. Those are look ahead. Oh boy, it's all pink. Let's throw on some random materials again. Not skybox. Where was it again? Oh, you said audio. That again. Sorry. All right. Nice. Yeah, 2D platforms. Great. Definitely a great There's Game Jam. There's a lot of inventive, cool stuff you can do with it. But yeah, if you or your team ever need any help with like anything with the Game Jam, there are, of course, in the Hack UTD Discord server, help channels, but also SGDA. We have our help channels, and we'll be happy to help out in any way we can. Best way, you know what? Let's just look up. Yeah. Let's roll metal blue. Just a black. Heck yeah. We'll do the drywall. Alright, let's see. What is this camera? So this one's a composer look ahead. But composer precisely tracks any object using screen frame. Hold on. Does not translate the camera. This target. Huh. In the scene. Okay, so this object's moving about. And it's just sort of following it. Actually, this here, let this play out a bit. We were talking about doing a replay system for our bowling. That was more of a stretch goal, right? But like, imagine that's the bowling ball, and just sort of watching it. This sort of, I don't like that hard cut, but sort of see what I'm getting at. Like that's, boom, strike. Something like that. That sort of follow along. Interesting. This is a composer look ahead. Let's go back to examples, machine, scene. Let's composer look ahead. What's the difference between that and a composer? And we still need more materials. There, we'll do the blue. Alright, so this one's just a regular composer. Wall attacks, that's boring. Probably should read that, but right now let's look at the full moving object. I would need to see these side by side to like actually really tell a difference. And there is. Not sure why the hard cut is. Interesting. Yeah, I think this one's like what? Be more green. Okay. Follow camera. I believe this is more, yeah, the follow stuff. Well, try it. Go down again. Random material. Okay. Right. But literally a follow. Maybe? I don't know. I'll probably. Yes. Doing the. This one's a simple follow. Follow cam probably is a little bit more. Follow zoom. Try it. Row zone again. Alright. Such an awkward camera view. Like, it's orthographic, and it's hard to judge. Like, I mean, it follows. Like, I don't know. I've seen camera shots like that, but I just don't think you could know about an entire game like this. But hey, you know what? Maybe that's part of the game jam, right? Like, mess with like camera systems, and whatnot. Like, do something weird, different. Let's see here. Look, that's just gonna be more or less controller. Oh yeah, so that's more third person. That's pretty. That's not. Slider. The free look stuff. Yeah, good. I used those ones when I was doing a 3D platformer. Mixing camera. Cinema Machine has like actually a pretty good, well documented documentation. It has some pretty decent documentation. Two cameras, one on the ground level, another higher in space. Scripter hooked up to the Z station. Alright. Oh, cool. Yeah. So, probably not needed for this jam, but I like that. Used for things. A little far, probably, but it comes back down here. And so if we see in the scene, have like there's only one main camera, but we got this virtual machine, and then we also have the hot virtual machine. And basically, this camera, as we move, you can see it sort of just slides between the two. The further I get away, the closer I'll get to that. And then we can like adjust all these values, and you can really get into cameras, man. Okay, fantastic. Cool. So, I think we've just sort of looked through that. I like the blend, and blending in the three cameras that we could use. I'll probably use this as sort of a basis and set it up to like some of this is of course following like a moving object. We'll probably set this up to work between the three camera states that were mentioned in the pre-production. Yeah. Probably take this and make this my sample scene. Or I can just copy. Just grab this stuff. Go into my scene that has some of the lighting setups. Throw this in here. Ooh. I don't know. I didn't like that. Okay, there we go. And then we'll mess with that. And get rid of the camera. Go mess with that. And hold. Cool. But I'll keep messing with that later. That's a good like little baseline, and I'll work with this from here. Okay, what we want. I think I'm gonna start wrapping up for the night. Thanks again for everyone for coming on out. Hopefully you learned a few things about like production, going into game jam, scope, or then just had a good time in this brainstorming session, basically. So, thanks again for stopping by. I'm going to call it here. Y'all have a wonderful night.